By the end of this Mercury retrograde, you're going to be speaking, thinking, and expressing in a whole new way because Mercury is about to install some software updates into our mind. And if you want to know how to navigate this energy, grab your birth chart and let's dive in. Welcome back, my Astro family. I'm so glad you're joining me today for this Mercury retrograde video. We are having Mercury end 2024 retrograding through the zodiac energy of Sagittarius. This is definitely going to bring some disruptions to our typical end of the year activities. It is happening over the holidays, more specifically over the Thanksgiving holiday. So if you are traveling, I'm going to help you prepare in this video how to navigate that. And of course, if you're a student and you're taking tests or you're doing anything where you're going to have to use your mind, sign contracts, get things negotiated by the end of the year, you're going to want to get it done early. And I'm going to walk you through step by step how we're going to do that. If you're new to me and new to my channel, hi, welcome into our Astro family. I'm Mandy Rose. I consider myself the relational astrologer, and you'll see in all of my videos when we talk about the astro weather, my goal is to ultimately help you understand what is going on cosmically so you can give the people around you more grace and patience and have better relationships. We're going to go through the overview to help you understand the broad perspective, broad themes of what is going on in this Mercury retrograde, what we're meant to learn during this season. We'll dive into the specifics so you know exactly what dates to pay attention to or maybe hot buttons around this retrograde energy. I'll give you the do's and don'ts and the collective themes of what I see maybe playing out in society. And of course, you're going to have your rising sign forecast. You can find the timestamps for all of those below. Make sure you have your birth chart handy. You're going to want to check to see if Mercury is impacting anything in your chart specifically. Now, this Mercury retrograde is going to be double duty retrograde energy. The reason I say that is because Mercury is the landlord. He rules the area of the sky of Gemini. And Jupiter is already retrograde in Gemini. And so while Mercury is retrograding in Sagittarius here in the chart, Jupiter is retrograding in Mercury's home sign of Gemini. And they're going to be opposite each other. And this is a theme that's going to play out over and over and literally over 3 times again during this retrograde energy. So it's almost like a double mercurial retrograde energy as we wrap up the year. Now, also, we do have to recognize that when it comes to Mercury, it's our mind. It's how we're thinking, expressing, speaking, and communicating. And when he retrogrades, he gives us an opportunity to reset our software, reset our mind, upgrade, update. And in Sagittarius, it's our belief systems, it's our philosophy, it's our perspective, our view on life based on the lived experience, the journey we've been on, and the information and knowledge we've gained by walking on Earth School through experiences. So there's going to be a lot of mental reprogramming, shifting our belief systems, changing our perspective. It might actually feel like a total mind boggle. And by the time we get to the end of the retrograde, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I see the world in completely different lenses. I have a total new opinion of the way that I perceive the things around me. So this is going to definitely be a mind F. It's going to be the emoji, with like the mind blowing up. That's the vibe of this Mercury retrograde. So let's start out with the basics so you know exactly when this energy is going to unfold. First of all, Mercury is moving into the zodiac energy of Sagittarius on November 2nd. He is going to be in this zodiac energy all the way through the end of the year till January 9th. Traditionally, Mercury moves pretty quick. He's close to us here on Earth. So from our perspective, he is crossing through the constellations fairly quickly, about 3.5 to 4 weeks at a time. So most years, you will have Mercury in the Sagittarius area of your birth chart for only 3.5 to 4 weeks. But not in 2024, due to the fact that he's retrograding and he's going forwards, then backwards, and then forwards again. He's spending almost 9 weeks in the Sagittarius area of your chart. We'll break down more what that means in the rising sign forecast, but know right here, right now, that this means that our mind is going to have to learn, speak, educate, communicate, understand more specifically around Sagittarius topics. And when he enters into the zodiac energy of Sagittarius on the 2nd, it's only a number of days on November 7th that he enters in to 6 degrees where he will eventually come back to, which means officially the pre-shadow phase of Mercury's retrograde begins on November 7th. So you're going to want to get all your ducks in order for the end of the year, contracts written, things negotiated, appointments on the calendar, definitely travel plans booked, because Mercury rules transportation and moving from point A to point B, and Sagittarius deals with long distance travel, okay? And so you're going to want to get that all locked in by November 7th. If you take nothing else away from this video, please get your things locked in for the end of the year by November 7th if possible. If not possible and you book it after, it's totally okay. It just means you're going to want to have a plan B. You're going to want to double, triple, quadruple check things. And if hiccups come up, it's okay. You're going to work with it. You're going to navigate it. And it's part of the wisdom or knowledge you're meant to gain during a Mercury retrograde, and specifically in Sagittarius. So the official retrograde will begin on November 25th. Yes, right around Thanksgiving, like I mentioned, and he's going to retrograde until December 15th. So those are kind of the hot season times where you're going to have most of the hiccups of the Mercury retrograde, the annoying little nuances that happen, the time where you're meant to reflect and learn. Remember, retrogrades are about going back over things. So renegotiating, reanalyzing, re-understanding, reassessing things. So there's going to be a lot of going back to things as we're ending the year. Instead of wrapping up things, it's kind of like all these little unwoven pieces are going to have to be adjusted, and then you put the puzzle back together. And when we enter into 2025, it's like, oh, I have a whole new philosophy. I have a whole new belief on that. I have a whole new outlook because of what I just went through. And again, we'll break that down more in just a moment. Lastly, I want you to grab your birth chart. We're going to check the Sagittarius area of your chart, and I want you to look to see if you have any planets between 6 degrees and 22 degrees of Sagittarius. If you do, it means that Mercury is going to cross over that planet or that aspect or area of your chart 3 separate times. When he moves forward from November 7th till November 25th, then when he retrogrades backwards from November 25th till December 15th, and then one final time as he travels from December 15th through the end of the year. Okay, so that means in the next 2 months, you're going to get 3 hits to that area of your chart with Mercury's retrograde. And I'll give you more specifics on what's going to happen around specific dates in just a moment. Let's really get into the overview. What is the energy we're going to be feeling? What is the vibe? What is the lesson? What can we anticipate to happen? First and foremost, retrogrades are about teaching us lessons. We're here to learn something. And as we move to the end of the year, we're going to be tested a lot mentally. Mercury is our mind, what we're thinking, what we're learning, how we're speaking, what language and tone we're using, how we're negotiating. All of these things are getting a course correction, getting an up level. I like to think of Mercury's retrograde as literally like reprogramming our mind. When you get the latest app update or you update the software on your computer, that's a Mercury retrograde. We're meant to learn something and then up level the thoughts and the beliefs that we have, specifically when he's in Sagittarius. And so we are going to get tested a whole lot in this specific Mercury retrograde because Mercury is going to square Saturn 3 separate times. And anytime Saturn's involved, he is always the disciplinarian. Tough love dad. Are you learning the lessons? Are you committed? Are you disciplined? Are you doing the hard things? And so mentally, we're going to be asked, how committed are we to this perspective, to this belief? Is this really what you think, or is this someone programmed it to you? Do you want to shift out of your limiting beliefs? Do you want to shift out of limiting mindsets? Do you want to change the way in which you view the world? Maybe you're very cynical and you want to reprogram your mind to see the magic in every little moment. Maybe you have a certain belief or philosophy or religious perspective and you're like, actually, this hasn't been serving me, and my eyes are opening up and I'm starting to see the world in a whole new way. You ever have that thing in your life where like one conversation happened, or you read one thing on the internet, or you came across a piece of information, and ever since then you can never go back to like thinking the old way? It like opened your eyes and blew up your mind, and now you're like, whoa, I can never go back to those thoughts or that belief or that philosophy, right? That's what's going to happen collectively with everyone. And as a relational astrologer, let's just talk about it right here, right now, is this can be very challenging in relationships. Because ultimately, if you are with a partner or you are friends with someone because you align in the same beliefs, the same philosophy, you kind of view the world in the same way, and then all of a sudden they change their mind. they change their political affiliation, they change their religion, they change their perspective, like they change mentally from you, you have a hard time relating to them. You have a hard time speaking with them. You have a hard time communicating with them. And this is what I really see on a broad spectrum going on during this Mercury retrograde. It's going to play out in relationships because you're like, wait a second, I thought we thought the same. And now you're starting to think different. Like, who are you now? As people are growing and up leveling. Now, also where Mercury is going to square Saturn 3 times, he's going to oppose Jupiter 3 times as well. This is really important to understand because this is giving this Mercury retrograde like a boost of energy. It's like a double Mercury retrograde because Jupiter is retrograde already in Mercury's home sign of Gemini. So that already alone feels like it's been a Mercury retrograde vibe. And if you haven't seen my Jupiter retrograde video, go back and check that out because I talk a lot about how we feel like we're in a Mercury retrograde already since October 9th when Jupiter retrograded. Now Mercury is going to come join the retrograde party in Jupiter's home sign. So it's like double Mercury retrograde. Like our minds are like, I don't know what to think. I don't know what to believe. It's hard to have a conversation. I can't make decisions. None of the facts seem to be true. Like I don't even know what to think anymore. It's going to get even more cloudy in our mind until we can sift and sort and understand. And ultimately we have to go through an experience to change our mind. We have to go through something in our own reality to shift our perspective. Sometimes it doesn't matter how many books you read or how many podcasts you listen to. Sometimes you have to actually live it to learn it, right? Street smarts, Earth school experiences. I talk to a lot of nurses who say, when I actually got into the profession, everything I learned in my textbooks didn't even seem to matter anymore. I learned when I actually got on the floor at a hospital. That's when I started learning about nursing. And so that's kind of that vibe. And I've heard that from many industries. So that's like what's happening right now. And with Mercury in Jupiter's home sign and Jupiter in Mercury's home sign, they're in mutual reception. They're kind of helping each other. And they're in this energy of Gemini Sagittarius, which is all about the lower mind and the higher conscious mind. The lower mind, Gemini energy, is data, facts, analyzing things, looking at things from a simple perspective, A to B. Sagittarius is our higher conscious mind, of like philosophizing something and thinking about this and experiencing that and coming up with ideas and like broad spectrum and, oh, I live this and I think this. Like it's two different perspectives and both of them are getting a reprogramming right now. And then during this Mercury retrograde, we're going to add into the fact that Saturn is in a T-square to these energies. I'm just going to pull up the chart here so you can see what's going on here. Saturn square Jupiter, Saturn square Mercury. Going to happen 3 times in both directions. Saturn is in Pisces, Jupiter's home sign. So Saturn's in Pisces, where Jupiter rules, that's his home, and Mercury's in Sagittarius, where Jupiter also has a home. He has a second home. So Jupiter's really the one in control here. Jupiter's really the one who's trying to expand us, allow us to get out of the small, dense mind that we're in and expand from a higher conscious perspective and allow ourselves to reprogram our mind and become committed to a new perspective, a new philosophy. Saturn is like, sometimes the old foundation doesn't work and we have a new foundation, a new mental foundation that we're going to build our new reality upon. But you got to do the work to create the new thought patterns, right? You can't just like journal something once and be like, I am so abundant. And then all of a sudden you become abundant. No, like you have to re-journal it over and over and over and over and over again until you reprogram that subconscious mind. That's where the Saturn discipline comes in during this Mercury retrograde. The Mercury retrograde makes us aware of the crappy patterns that we've had, the crappy thoughts that we think, the crappy ways in which we communicate, express, and speak. And so now we've got to go do the work to reprogram the mind, to think the thoughts we want to think, because thinking certain things becomes our certain reality. And the words are like magic wands, creating the reality. So we're learning to reprogram, getting that software update so we can have the reality we dream of in 2025. So last way I just want to point out here so you can note this for what's coming up in 2025 as well, is that we have this grand cross energy building with Jupiter in Gemini, Mercury in Sagittarius, Saturn in Pisces, and the missing corner of the square is Virgo. And we're about to have the South Node enter into Virgo on 1/1/1, January 11th. And the South Node is going to come in and cut and clear all the Virgo shadow aspects that's holding us back. Analyzing, perfectionism, critiquing, nagging, analysis paralysis, not moving forward because we don't think we have enough talents or skills. We're going to be reprogramming a lot of our mind to get into the next stage of 2025. So ultimately, this Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius is the stepping stone to get to the new reality. And this retrograde teaches us lessons about being cautious and careful with our words, cautious and careful with our thoughts, be willing to shift and bend our perspective and our beliefs so that we can get to the life that we dream. You want to be really cautious and careful with what information you're sharing, what you're revealing, promises you're making, forcing your opinions on others. Like all of these things are really going to backfire through this Mercury retrograde. We'll get more into that in just a moment, but let's zoom back really quickly. Let's do a quick overview before we get more into the specifics and the dates that you want to be aware of. It's just, let's remember for a second, Mercury's purpose to us. If you're new to me, you probably haven't heard this concept before. This is how I see each planet. I consider them life coaches. And Mercury as a life coach is teaching us how to speak, express, communicate, and think. Mercury is our mind. It's our software processing system. How do we receive information? What do we think about that information? How do we download that information? And then how do we speak and express the information back outwards? So Mercury is always teaching us how to communicate effectively and how to share our thoughts and ideas with the world. When he goes retrograde, we are reprogramming, relearning, reassessing, renegotiating, recommunicating, re-understanding. That's why those retrogrades, the Mercury retrogrades, can be such a disruption in our life. They're not major, but they're hiccups because it's things we're doing every single day. Communicating, negotiating, understanding, learning. It's like our mind all of a sudden kind of turns to mush during a Mercury retrograde. Now, specifically, whenever Mercury is in Sagittarius, we're learning to use our mind in a Sagittarius way. Well, what is this way? Mercury has to be under the influence of Sagittarius, which again is higher perspective, higher conscious thinking, broad scope. Mercury typically likes data and facts and analyzing and podcasts and books and absorbing and sucking in information. Sagittarius is like, no, we got to zoom out. We got to look at it from above, bird's eye view. What is going on here, right? And I always think of it this way. Mercury is like, oh, I know there's 3 pyramids in Egypt because I read it in a book and I saw some pictures in a magazine. The Sagittarius energy is like, I know there's 3 pyramids in Egypt because I literally wandered through the desert and I came across some pyramids. And I know for a fact that they're there because I did it. I lived it. And that's what Mercury is teaching us in Sagittarius, is that the experience you learn is more vital, more important, more credible than the data on some pages. Data can be manipulated. Facts can be altered. Information can be withheld. What you know to be true, Sagittarius, truth, it's seeking the truth. It's the bow and arrow, seeking the truth. What you know to be the truth is based on your lived experience, not what someone else tells you on a podcast or in a book. Your truth is yours alone. And that is how we base our beliefs, our philosophy. This is why Sagittarius rules the perspectives, the view, the lens we have on life, because it's what we've lived. Think about it. 2 people could be raised in the same household, but one has a different lived experience based on where they went to school or their friends or their gender or whatever, and they have a completely different view on life than their sibling. Because there's all these nuances of experiences that each child goes through that formulates their mind, their perspective on life. And so when Mercury gets in Sagittarius, that's the area that we are processing. Now, the thing is with Mercury in Sagittarius, because it's so broad spectrum, sometimes we gloss over the details, right? We want to tell the story. We want to explain what happened. And so sometimes it's not like, oh, well, I went here and I did this and here's the numbers and this is the time it took me to get there. It's like, oh my gosh, I went on a journey and it was so long. It took so long to get there. Well, what does so long mean? Sagittarius, so long is like part of the story. Mercury, traditionally the Gemini energy, is like, it took me 72 minutes to get there. Because so long to some person could mean 5 minutes and so long to another person could be 5 hours. So with Sagittarius, it's kind of vague. It's kind of broad spectrum. It's like, do you get the gist of it? It's more of this vibe where you're trying to input your own data to make sense of the story. And so this is where we get the confusion during a Mercury retrograde, specifically in Sagittarius, right? Because we're like, wait, what is the truth here? We're trying to follow the story and none of the data makes sense. Now, lastly, with Mercury in Sagittarius, our mind is on Sagittarius themes: religion, philosophy, legal stuff, higher education, school, tests, mentors, gaining experience, going on retreats, like all of these areas of life, travel, other cultures, expanding out of your comfort zone, trying new things, exploring things, going to the library and picking out a book on a topic you've never, learned anything about. It's about hiring a mentor and following their wisdom, their experience to get to the destination you want. When Mercury's in Sagittarius, this is kind of where our mind is focusing. And luckily, Sagittarius is very optimistic, sometimes too optimistic. So we always kind of want to see the bright things on life. We want to be a little bit more positive mentally. It's a great energy for gratitude and a great energy for abundance. Expanding our mind to believe anything is possible, to be fearless in the pursuit of the things that we desire, and to see the beautiful side of life, the rosy side of life. So it's great to have this energy, but the retrograde is going to force us to see what's holding us back from those thought patterns. So lastly, let's just do a couple themes of what happens in a Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius. What can we anticipate? The first thing is we are going to definitely be questioning the truth, because typically we're being optimistic when Mercury is forward in Sagittarius. When he's retrograde, our mind is turning around and we're like questioning everything. Questioning reality, questioning our beliefs, questioning other people's beliefs, questioning the truth. Like there's going to be a lot of mental questioning. The second thing I see happening with this energy is there's going to be a lot of seeking of knowledge. People are going to want to gain wisdom. Like, for example, if someone says, oh yeah, that store closes at 7 o'clock, people are gonna be like, no, I'm pretty sure it closes at 8 o'clock. And they're not even going to listen to the person. They're literally gonna go to the store at 7 o'clock to see if it closes, right? Like they gotta see it for themselves. So a lot of this Mercury retrograde is people gaining wisdom by doing it on their own. So if you tell somebody something and they don't follow your advice, trust that they have to go through the Mercury retrograde lesson of figuring it out for themselves. Let them learn the hard way. We all got to learn the hard way during this season. The third thing that is definitely going to play out with this energy is because Sagittarius is all about the truth and we're going to be retrograding, we're going to see a lot of exaggeration of the truth, or the storytelling, if you will, where people are going to definitely be feeling like they can bend the truth a little, they can make the story seem a little larger than life. This is the holiday season, so I would not be surprised if people are using this in marketing, so definitely be cautious and careful of that. You could also be guilty of this energy, trying to inflate your product, talking super highly about things, and then people get it and they're like, it's actually not that great. Like, what were they talking about? So be cautious and careful with the inflation of the truth or exposing or exaggerating the truth of something. The fourth thing is that mental reprogramming, having to really look and review and assess, go back over some of the thoughts that you're thinking. I would challenge anyone to do some sort of gratitude practice during this Mercury retrograde. So you're reprogramming your mind to be abundant, to be positive, to be happy, to really work with this energy. So when the retrograde ends, you're already on a fast track to a mental place that feels better, that makes your reality look better. And the fifth thing this Mercury retrograde is definitely going to be teaching us is that we need diverse perspectives, diverse opinions, diverse viewpoints to make the world go round. I talked a little bit about this in my new moon in Libra, the solar eclipse video from a month ago. In that video, I talked about how important it is to have a tribe with multiple experiences, multiple perspectives, multiple talents. We have gotten into a society where everyone needs to think the same and everyone needs to do the same things, like the same. And if you're outside of the norm, then you're weird, you're woo-woo, like you're unconventional. Like that is not how tribes work. Okay, go back to ancient civilizations. Tribes worked best when there was multiple different minds, multiple different opinions, multiple different talents. There was the baker, there was the doctor, there was the woman who was an herbalist. Like we had to have people with different mindsets, different experiences, different stories, so that if there was a problem, somebody would have the answer. Not everyone is thinking the exact same way. And I truly believe that this Mercury retrograde opposite Jupiter's retrograde is helping us get back to a place where we're accepting that multiple perspectives is the way in which we thrive in a society, the way in which we move forward into the future. Because if you shut down the way someone thinks, their thoughts could be the next genius invention, but you've shut it down, right? We want kids in schools to all think the same way. Well, this Mercury retrograde is teaching us that no, we need multiple perspectives, because if this goes wrong and everyone thinks the same way, who's going to come up with the solution, right? We need all the different perspectives, and that is favored. That is going to be beneficial. And the last thing I'm going to kind of say about this is I want you to think about it in this way. We're being programmed to all have the same thoughts, and the algorithms actually give you this negative feedback loop to keep thinking the thoughts you're already thinking. So you tell it, ooh, I like gardening. And then you get more gardening content. And then you love more gardening content, so they give you more gardening content. You never get content on riding bikes, because that's not what you're telling the algorithm. So it's feeding you what you already think. Let's say you have a certain political affiliation and you watch a lot of videos on that. It's feeding you the same content that soothes your narrative, that reprograms your mind deeper and deeper into what you already believe, instead of allowing you to get out of your perspective and see the other side and understand the other opinion. That's not how the algorithm works. It gives you more of what you want, not maybe what you need. And this is why we're getting more tunnel visioned into our beliefs and more tunnel vision into our perspectives. And people are going more like this because these algorithms are brain training us essentially to go deeper into our already programmed mind. And I believe this Mercury retrograde and this Jupiter retrograde is going to force us to break out of our thought patterns because of a lived experience, because something is happening externally, and it's forcing us to change our mind, forcing us to change our perspective. This is massive. It is so huge. I could go on and on about this, but I think that's enough for now. Let's go into some specific dates you're going to want to mark on your calendar, pay attention to, where some of the themes that I mentioned are going to play out. I'm going to pull up the chart. I do this for all the retrogrades. I hope you guys love it as much as I do. You can screenshot this. I'll post it on my social media, on my IG. You can screenshot it from there if that's easier. But this shows the timeline of Mercury's journey through the zodiac energy of Sagittarius. We're starting out on November 2nd. When he enters into Sagittarius, our mind now goes into broad spectrum thinking. We become more optimistic. We want to tell stories. Great for marketing, great for learning, great for higher education. We're wanting to travel long distance. We're wanting to get out of our comfort zone. We're wanting to check things off our bucket list. We're more open-minded. And so that really begins on November 2nd. By November 7th, that's the day that you want to have all your T's crossed, I's dotted, everything ready for the end of the year. Get your taxes done, get contracts signed, make any purchasing agreements, book your doctor's appointments or any other appointments, get your travel plans locked in, get that done before November 7th. It would be super ideal. And you're going to want to take note on that day. If you have your 2024 Astrology Alchemy Journal, of course, open up to the Mercury retrograde page all the way at the end. I can't believe we're almost done with a whole nother year. The Mercury retrograde page is on page 81. Fill out these journal prompts or take some notes on here. There is the journaling page on the page after it. Take some inventory of what conversations, what topics are coming up, what you're mentally thinking about, because we're going to circle all the way back by December 15th. So after that, now Mercury is going to be dancing from 6 degrees, getting closer and closer to where he's going to turn around, and a lot's going to happen between November 7th and November 25th, as we can see from the chart. The first big thing that's going to happen on November 12th, we're going to have Mercury square Saturn. This is going to repeat itself 2 more times. This is the first time they meet. Saturn is retrograde. Mercury is going forward. Saturn is saying stop, pause, considering the crossing guard. Do the things that you think actually hold true. Is the way that you're speaking and expressing clear and concise? Are the beliefs and the views that you have on the world really the ones that you chose, or are they programmed into you? This is where we're really going to get that mental obstacle, the mental jolt, where it's oh my gosh, is this really how I want to think? Is this limiting mindset that I have preventing me from having more abundance? Is the story that I'm telling myself, the mental program, really beneficial to the life I want to live? Or is this literally just a story I'm telling myself and there's no truth in it? I'll give you an example. For me, there was a story I was telling myself that I had to scroll on my phone so I would get sleepy and tired. That was not a factual story. It was actually doing the opposite, but that was what I programmed myself to believe, that I'm just going to lay down, and when I scroll, it makes my eyes tired, and then I like to go to bed. No, I actually found out that sitting under my red light device and reading makes me more tired and I get more beneficial sleep. So reprogramming a story that you're telling yourself, that you're BSing yourself with, might come up on November 12th with Mercury square Saturn. Then we get to November 18th. This is the day where Jupiter and Mercury meet up for the first time opposite in each other's homes. We got that mutual reception going on. Jupiter's already retrograde. He's been working on teaching us things, expanding our mind, helping us reprogram, re-understand, reanalyze. Again, go back to that Jupiter retrograde video for a clearer understanding of this, as it's going to be going on until February 4th. But this is the day where we're going to kind of now mentally understand what is limiting us, what's holding us back, where we need to have more gratitude, where maybe we have to ask more questions or go deeper into understanding, hire mentors. Like, there's going to be a lot of questioning going on around the 18th. And then we get to the 25th when the retrograde officially begins. Mercury will be at 22 degrees and he starts backtracking and having another conversation with Saturn and another conversation with Jupiter, and ultimately ending his retrograde within 3 short weeks. So pay attention on this day. Of course, there's going to be a lot of people traveling for the Thanksgiving holiday. Have a plan B, have a plan C. Allow yourself to overcome any kind of hiccups with ease and patience and grace, but it's all going to begin on that day. So make sure you've backed up your stuff and prepared ahead of time. And on that day, he's going to have a wide square to Neptune. Neptune will be at 27 degrees. He's at 22 degrees. This wide square could have a lot of confusion, fogginess, haziness. I would not trust any information coming your way on the 25th. So if you hear it or read it, unless you actually see it with your own 2 eyes and you know it to be true, I would literally ignore it. Then Mercury retrogrades backwards. December 4th is the day he meets up with Jupiter again. This is a day where I see both planets retrograde, both planets helping reprogram our mind. We're really going to be in the thick of, like, I don't know what's up, down, left, right, truth, lies. Like, I don't even know anymore. I am so freaking confused. So a lot of confusion as we move into December. I also see a lot of like gurus being exposed around that time. Like, we're just like, I can't trust nobody anymore. I can only trust myself and what I know and my inner truth and what I know because of what I've lived. So that's going to be a day where we're going to see some of that coming up. The following day on December 5th is the Mercury cazimi. That's when we get the epiphany. That's when we get the download. That's when things start making sense. That is when we really start shifting our perspective, shifting our mind because of this external reality that's happening and all the information coming our way. We've sifted, we've sorted, and it's like a light bulb moment. I really see that being a day where it's like, oh, that's the story I've been telling myself, and that ain't true. Or that's the thing that they've been trying to sell me on, and now I'm seeing that it's actually not that great. It's actually a pile of junk. Or, oh my gosh, I had this conversation with someone over and over and over again, and I completely did not understand their perspective. Now I'm seeing their perspective. I see it as a day of aha, epiphany, and unity, and people starting to open their mind and respect the opinions of others. That's where I have a lot of faith and hope, is on December 5th. And then we have 10 more days of the retrograde to keep expanding our mind and keep learning and keep understanding. Because then right after, on December 6th, Mercury's going to meet up with Saturn again. Remember, this already happened in November, and that's going to be the day where it's like, oh yeah, okay, those thoughts that I was being challenged on, the opinions that I maybe was committed to, but now I'm deciding I'm not committed to, I'm reprogramming. The reprogramming begins as Saturn says, well, now do the work. Now that you see it differently, now that you have a new understanding, now that you've shifted your mind, do the work. Do the work, do the gratitude journaling, listen to mantras, listen to abundance manifestations on YouTube. Like, go change your mind. Gather the information on the subconscious level that you need to have the new reality and get to work. That's what Saturn's saying on December 6th. And then the retrograde officially ends on December 15th. Not that travel disruptions are going to completely end. We're still going to be in the post-shadow phase, but we're going to have a little lighter of a time when it comes to all the mercurial things. So it's not a full green light go, but it's definitely yellow light. Proceed with caution. Things won't be as mentally challenging or transportation challenging or technology disruptive. And then, even though he's out of retrograde, the 26th of December is a huge day. That's the official T-square day. That's where everything that happened from November and December up to that point comes together in one big bow, where now it all makes sense. And we're all kind of rethinking, reprogrammed. It's just like this whole mental peacefulness of this new program that we got, and we're able to proceed forward into the new year with a clearer perspective, a clearer mind, a shift in some way that benefits us for a really long time. Once we get to January 2nd, we clear the post-shadow phase. We are back at green light go. Mercury's at 22 degrees, and he is going to jump out of Sagittarius and officially enter into Capricorn on January 9th. So we got a long way to go between then and now, and we're going to navigate it. Just allow your mind to be fluid, to be open, take that broader perspective, and don't trust everything that you hear. It's going to be a wild time, and the truth will be revealed, no doubt. And let's wrap up with some of the collective themes, how I see this kind of playing out in society. Some of this has already started, but I think it's going to become more and more potent. First of all, on the day that Mercury enters pre-shadow on November 7th, this is a few days after the election. Remember, Mercury is coming exactly back to this point in the sky on December 15th. So anything that begins on November 7th will be revisited, reanalyzed, recommunicated, reassessed. And so this is where we really see with the elections in the US that whatever is being decided or communicated or told in the media, right? Mercury rules media, might get circled all the way back. We might be told a different story, different facts, different information by December 15th. This is what makes the elections a really weird and really wonky this year, is because of this Mercury retrograde. So pay attention for information coming out. You might hear it again in December. Also, number two, I see the day specifically November 18th or December 4th when Mercury is opposite Jupiter. Those 2 days being the fall of the guru days. This is where people that we've seen have a lot of wisdom, a lot of experience, people we put on pedestals, self-proclaimed gurus, right? Fall, crumble, be exposed, be revealed. We start to realize that they did not have the expertise, they did not have the knowledge, they did not have the wisdom, they were so self-proclaimed. We really thought they were amazing, and it's all exposed and it's revealed, and we're like, actually everything they've been teaching us, they're not qualified to teach us, or everything they said that they lived through or they experienced was a fabrication of the truth, right? It's like, oh yeah, I did all these things. And then you're like, wait, actually that person never worked there. They never did that. They made up a story. It's all been a lie. So I really see a lot of people that are gurus falling during this cycle. And I mentioned a lot of that in the Jupiter retrograde video, but now we're adding the Mercury retrograde, and it should be interesting where we're going to see a lot of frauds and fakes come to light. The third thing I see collectively is major travel disruptions. Okay, I know this happens every year around the holidays, that there's like too many people flying and bags get lost and flights get canceled and there's snowstorms, and I know that's normal. This year, we're going to add in the tech glitches. We're going to add major disruptions, ground halts. I mean, this is going to be like a whole nother level, as the Mercury retrograde is really teaching people, again, to reprogram their minds about what's going on. We're going to be having to go through experiences to think differently about things. And so definitely tech glitches, social media glitches, news publications, news sources, maybe going bankrupt, going out of business, getting overhauls. Like, we're definitely going to see these areas getting major disruption. And the fourth thing, which I think has already begun as I record this video, is there's going to be a lot of lawsuits. Sagittarius rules lawsuits. Mercury is sending messages to people, and sometimes lawsuits are just sending a message to media outlets, publications, journalism, journalists. Like, there's going to be a lot of fraud claims, lawsuits, people exposed, again, revealed, because these are the ones that give the perspectives, that formulate people's beliefs, right? Based on what they journal or what they write on social media, it's forming people's perspectives. And so there's going to be, again, this disruption of the algorithm, disruption of people pushing one narrative, pushing one perspective. And there's going to be this rise again of independent journalists. And this is already happening, of course, but it's going to potentize around this time, and the shift is actually going to take place because of this retrograde. So you're really going to see media exposure based on lawsuits, and then people have to become more independent journalists if they want to thrive, versus pushing an algorithm, pushing a narrative, and trying to train people to think a certain way. Because we're not doing that anymore. We're getting a broader perspective during these retrogrades. And then the fifth thing, again, which has already started happening, but I'm definitely excited for this one. I really see, as these retrogrades happen, the collective mindset shift, where we start appreciating the perspectives of other people. We appreciate that they have a different viewpoint or a different belief system than us. We value that people have other experiences that we don't have, so they can teach us when something like that comes up in our life. And so we really have this new mindset of understanding, a new way of communicating, a new way of valuing the different perspectives. And I'm really excited and hopeful that that's actually what's going to come out during not only Jupiter's retrograde, but Mercury's retrograde on top of it. Let me just leave you with some real quick do's and don'ts to navigate this retrograde energy. The first thing is, if you are a student and you're having to take tests during the Mercury retrograde period, meaning November 25th to December 15th, understand that your mind is going to have a hard time focusing on one task, absorbing information, absorbing data, absorbing facts. So you do want to take extra time to study. You do want to give yourself grace and patience. This is not going to be the easiest end of the year school year for many people. Just honor it and do the best that you can in learning the information necessary. Number two, you're going to want to back up all data, all technology, all of the tech glitches could be happening. So make sure that you definitely have everything you need in a separate folder, in a separate file, on a separate hard drive. Like, just be very cautious and careful with your technology. And then the third thing I would definitely do is make all those appointments, confirm your appointments, confirm your travel plans, confirm meetings with people, like just double, triple check, confirm. The don'ts are going to be, number one, don't sign up for any kind of courses, higher education programs. You're going to want to learn different things. You're going to have a different perspective. You're going to have a different understanding by the time the retrograde is over. So you may want to sign up for classes, next year. And then by the end of it, you're like, actually, I don't even want to learn that. That sounds so boring, or that's actually not going to get me to the life that I want. So let me take all that back. So I wouldn't sign up for anything if you can wait till at least after the retrograde. Even more of a green light after January 2nd when the post-shadow phase ends. Second thing is, you don't want to multitask. As Mercury is retrograding in Sagittarius, this is not the epitome of energy when it comes to doing multiple things at once, multiple projects, multiple conversations. If you are trying to multitask, it is more than likely you are going to make a mistake. You're going to send the wrong text to the wrong person, the wrong picture, in an attachment. Like, focus, linear thinking, one thing at a time, point A, point B. Simple is going to be better during this Mercury retrograde. And number three, you do not want to engage in any kind of negative conversations. This is a major part of the lessons for this retrograde. Speaking negatively of someone else, gossiping of someone else, talking in words and language that lower your vibration is going to be so pivotal right now, because the Saturn squares are teaching you to be committed to the words that build you up, the words that create your reality, creating a foundation of thoughts and speech that benefits you instead of harms you. So be very cautious and careful with negative conversations during the retrograde. And that's all I ultimately have for you. I know this was a long video. There was so much to talk about with this Mercury retrograde. So hopefully the timestamps have helped you. Thank you for spending your time with me, being a part of our Astro family. Quick reminder, grab your 2025 Astrology Alchemy Journal. It is the 5th edition. This journal was originally created as my retrograde journal, because retrogrades are major lesson learning periods. And we've rebranded to the Alchemy Journal, but of course the retrograde pages are 2-page spreads, because there is so much to work with when it comes to the lesson learning periods of retrogrades. And one last reminder, when it comes to your retrograde pages, you have 3 journal prompts for each retrograde. So if you're filling out your Mercury retrograde journal prompts, remember to fill out the same journal prompts 3 separate times. You fill it out when the retrograde begins. So for this Mercury retrograde, that's going to be on November 25th. You're going to fill it out halfway through the retrograde, which is going to be on the Mercury Cazimi day, December 5th. And then you're going to fill out the same journal prompt again on December 15th when Mercury comes out of retrograde. That way you can reflect back. This is a memory bank, right? It's not a planner, it's a journal. You're going to reflect back on how your mindset has shifted. Your thoughts have changed based on how you're answering the same exact questions. So that's how the retrograde pages work. That is the benefit. It creates this memory bank of what you were going through during each of the astrological transits. So with that, again, thank you for being here. I'm going to jump into the rising sign forecast, and I will catch you in the next video. Aries risings, Mercury is going to be retrograding and spending an extra amount of time in your 9th house. So we're going to talk about how he is going to up level and reprogram your mind when it comes to getting out of your comfort zone, traveling more, gaining more wisdom, gaining more knowledge, gaining more experience. You're definitely going to have a perspective shift, a new view on life by the time this retrograde is over. We'll deep dive into that and also talk a little bit how Saturn and Jupiter are also influencing this energy. So you grab your birth chart, let's get into it.
So looking at the chart on the right, Aries Risings, this is the chart of the Mercury cazimi happening on December 5th. This is going to be a pivotal day for you because the day following the halfway point of the Mercury retrograde, the Mercury cazimi day, your primary life coach Mars is going to go retrograde. So the first half of our Mercury retrograde, you are going to be taking action in the 5th house area of your life. We'll talk more about that in a second. However, the second half of the Mercury retrograde, your primary life coach will be retrograde, so you're going to feel less vitality, less energized, less motivated, and a lot more in your head. Okay, so it's going to be two completely different energies as we navigate this Mercury retrograde. So let's swing back first to Mercury in your 9th house, spending an extra amount of time here, right? He'll be here for 9 weeks instead of the traditional 3.5 due to his retrograde energy. Meaning your mind, Mercury, is going to be on the 9th house area of your life. Thinking, understanding, learning about what? Your beliefs, your perspective, your wisdom, your experience. This is going to be a very mental season for you throughout this Mercury retrograde because you're here to expand your mind, expand your consciousness, learn new things. This is a great time for you to say yes to things that maybe you've been too afraid to do. Great time to be a little spontaneous, hang out with people from other cultures. Great time for you to pick up a book from the library or read something on a topic that you've been wanting to explore a little bit deeper. This Mercury retrograde is really giving you the opportunity to gain some sort of knowledge that you can eventually take and benefit you down the road, whether that's financially or in your job and getting a promotion, being more recognized, being more praised. This is the time to get that Earth school experience. Now, of course, Mercury is going to be opposite Jupiter, who is also retrograding in your 3rd house. These are mutual receptions, right? Mercury is in Jupiter's home. Jupiter's in Mercury's home. I talk so much more about that. Go back and watch my overview for this video so you can get a better understanding of what's going on energetically in the collective. But for you specifically, Jupiter retrograding in your 3rd house during this entire Mercury retrograde season is allowing you to also expand your communication skills, expand the way in which you share, educate, teach, learn. Also, if there is something you want to publish or your story or your message that you want to get out to the world, this is a time for you to go to the drawing board, get into your creative zone of genius, figure out exactly what your message is, your mission is, your purpose is. These are all going to be great things. This is such a mental season for you. And of course, you're ruled by Mars. So traditionally, you like to just take action and be impulsive and be spontaneous and make things happen. And it's going to be okay until we get to the halfway point of the Mercury retrograde on December 5th. And then your primary life coach goes retrograde. So the second half of our Mercury retrograde, specifically for you, is going to be a season of going inward, slowing down, reprogramming your mind, reprogramming your thoughts, learning a lot of things, redirecting your mental energy. So I would say definitely when we get into the second half of December, you're going to want to really understand what is draining your mind. Where are you giving too much mental energy? What is not serving you mentally? What are the stories you're telling yourself mentally that's not going to benefit you down the road? And then also remembering that Saturn is squaring this energy from your 12th house. This is really Saturn coming out of retrograde at this point saying, hey, have we learned the lesson of our subconscious programming, of our limiting beliefs, of our self-sabotage, of our victimization? Are we the ones holding ourselves back? Are we the ones believing that we don't have enough experience, we don't have enough wisdom, we don't have enough education, we don't have enough knowledge? Is that what's holding you back? If it is, then go get the experience, go get the knowledge, go learn something. But if you feel like you know everything that you need to know and you're still sabotaging yourself, that's the programming that needs to be rewritten. Out of all the rising signs, Aries risings, you are the ones going through a complete mental overhaul, a mental reprogramming. You are literally getting new software during this season so that you can mentally accomplish your goals and accomplish your dreams. We're going to have a lot of activations in 2025 to your first house in Aries with Neptune and Saturn showing up to this area of your chart. You're getting a glow up. You're getting a rebrand. That rebranding begins right here, right now during this Mercury retrograde, where you need to look at your thought patterns. You need to look at the wisdom you need to gain. This is a mental season for you. And I think your primary life coach Mars is retrograde for you to benefit you. So you're not running around with your pants on fire and taking a bunch of action. Instead, you're going inward and starting with the thoughts that you think and the knowledge that you have so you can up level and rebrand yourself next year. So I hope that resonates. I hope that's helpful. I definitely suggest going to watch my Jupiter retrograde video for your rising sign if you haven't yet. That's going to also give you some clues as to this mutual reception of Mercury and Jupiter that will definitely be beneficial for you. I hope that resonates. Let me know in the comments below. And also don't forget to go back to my overview for the Mercury retrograde so you have a general idea of what's going on collectively. There's a lot more things that I talked about in the video as far as dates that you might want to pay attention to. And of course, check out those do's and don'ts so you know exactly how to navigate this energy in more depth. And then last thing, just to remind you, if you are interested in getting the 2025 Astrology Alchemy Journal, the pre-sale did end on 1/1/1 at the new moon in Scorpio. However, I do now have a PDF copy available. So if you don't care about having the physical copy and you want to just download the PDF and have it on your computer and you can print it out yourself, it is now in the description box below. There is a link. And obviously, it's a little less expensive than the physical hard copy. So just want you to know that that is now available. If you are out of the country, I do not ship out of the United States, but you can now get your PDF copy and have it and print it out right at home so that you can start planning 2025 as Jupiter is going to be retrograde all the way till February 4th.
So I'm going to leave you with this final thought that as this Mercury retrograde is happening in your relationships, as you start noticing the people around you waffling, flip-flopping, changing perspectives, sharing things with you that maybe they've never told you, give them a lot of grace and patience. We're all going through a collective up-leveling right now. Our mindset shifts are happening. We're expanding to a higher level of consciousness. We're learning to appreciate one another in a different way. We're seeing the truth. For some people, that's very jolting. It's very unexpected. And others of us have already probably seen the truth. So there is this huge shift going on collectively, and just give everyone a lot of grace and patience. And I look forward to diving in with you more one-on-one in a 2025 Astro Forecast reading. We always consider it our cosmic planning strategy session, where we're going to look at the year ahead, help you tap into the exciting energy that's in store, and of course, navigating some of the potholes that may be coming up in your journey so you know how to deal with them, you can expect them, and maybe drive around them if possible. So I would love to dive in with you. You can get on my calendar. It's in the description box below. Sending you so much love and light as we navigate the end of 2024 and get ready for the whole new reality we're about to step into in 2025. I'll catch you in the next video. Taurus Risings, Mercury is going to be retrograding and spending an extra amount of time in your 8th house of Sagittarius. This means you're going to get a complete reprogramming and up level of your mind when it comes to those taboo, uncomfortable topics that most of us don't like to talk about. So you are going to learn a lot about and shift your perspective when it comes to your intimacy and sex life, shared finances, money, debts, loans, taxes, inheritances, wills, all of those things that we're like, no, thank you. I'd rather not think about them or talk about them. Well, Mercury in this retrograde is going to force you to go deep into those situations, reprogram your thoughts around them, and also have some conversations to get down into some more clarity in the things that you'd rather mentally not think about. Of course, Saturn and Jupiter are going to participate in this up level and new programming in the 8th house area of your life. So grab your birth chart and let's just get into it.
Taurus risings, as we can see here, there is a lot going on in your chart during this Mercury retrograde season as we wrap up the year. The graph on the right is a screenshot of the sky on the Mercury cazimi, the halfway point of the Mercury retrograde, which is happening on December 5th. And your primary life coach, Venus, is starting out in the zodiac energy of Capricorn when Mercury begins his retrograde. And then right after the halfway point, she will move into Aquarius. So we're going to talk a little bit about that as well, making your reading very unique. So first and foremost, as we're looking at this Mercury retrograde, Mercury, remember, is our mind, what we're thinking, what we're speaking, what we're communicating. And now he's spending an extra amount of time, 9 weeks, instead of his traditional 3.5, in your 8th house. And so, like I mentioned in the intro, this is really where your mind has to be during this season through the end of the year, dealing with these areas of life that are super uncomfortable. Your mind has to be on these topics: death, sex, taxes, intimacy, inheritances, joint finances, money that you owe people. That could be like your car loan. It could be a home mortgage loan. It could be money that people owe you, right? Something that maybe you've gifted someone and now they owe you back. So all these uncomfortable topics, this is the season with a Mercury retrograde to go back over them, to reassess them, to reanalyze, to check in. Do you have your wills written? Do you have your beneficiaries? Do you need to put your home in a trust? Do you need to pay your taxes? Do you need to have a conversation with your CPA? Do you need to have a conversation about finances with your romantic partner or roommate or someone that you share money with, like a business partner? Do you need to have a conversation about your intimate life, your sex life with your partner? This is going to be heavy topics during this Mercury retrograde season. And of course, directly opposite in the sky, we have Jupiter retrograding in your financial sector as well. And so right now we have that energy where money just seems a little tight. Things don't seem as easy peasy. Things could feel a little stuck and stagnant on the income level. And so go watch my Jupiter retrograde video. That's really going to benefit you if you haven't already, to maybe understand why things aren't flowing or income's not coming as easy in this season. But ultimately, this Mercury retrograde opposite Jupiter is helping you reprogram your mind and assessing the financial aspects of your life and understanding where maybe you have to have a new frame of thought, a new program, a new perspective, a new viewpoint, a new awareness, maybe even more knowledge or wisdom or education in order to find more abundance in your financial area of life. Also, with Mercury retrograde in your 8th house, this could be a great time for you to dive a little bit deeper and gain more experience or even more wisdom, maybe possibly from a mentor around investments or finances that are, like real estate or stock portfolios or things like that. This is going to be a season where you're definitely going to learn a whole lot in that area of life. And when Mercury comes out of retrograde and clears the post-shadow phase, which isn't going to be until January 2nd, then it's going to be green light go time because you've gained a lot of wisdom. Okay, but don't forget we have Saturn squaring this energy. And so there's some lessons, there's some obstacles, there's maybe some hardships, there's maybe some challenges, as Saturn is making sure in your 11th house of future that your future is secure, that your future is foundationally set in your financial area of life. So all the hiccups to your finances, all the challenges coming up with money, all the lack of, let's say, because Saturn brings blockages or obstacles, is to ultimately make sure that what you're doing with your money, the information that you are gaining around your finances, and the work that you have to put in to talk about these uncomfortable topics is ultimately going to set you up, Saturn in the 11th house, for your future. And you may have to reach out to friends or people in your community or like-minded people who think similarly to you when it comes to your money to help you learn some things. And I would not be surprised, Taurus Risings, if you get a completely new perspective on your finances, a higher perspective, maybe even more of an abundance mindset, working on abundance work, manifestations, affirmations. There's some mental reprogramming, some new software that's being implemented into your brain and the way that you think and see your finances during this season. Last thing is remembering that Mercury is going to be in this trine with Chiron. Jupiter's already had the sextile with Chiron in the North Node. So just pointing that out real quickly is this is the energy in your 12th house. So there is this North Node, this fated and destined clearing of karma, limiting beliefs, self-sabotage. There's kind of this underlying program around money that you've learned from childhood, right? Chiron wounds in Aries are childhood wounds, and you're having to heal Chiron, these childhood wounds or these programs around finances that are haunting you today. And therefore Mercury is giving you a complete up level And that is ultimately going to help you go to your North Node, your destiny. Okay, that next step is happening. Lastly, to just kind of put a little bow on it with Venus, Venus always says to you, my Taurus risings, as your primary life coach, where in my life, when all the other astro weather events are going on, can I attract and magnetize something beautiful, pleasurable, or abundant into my life? As Mercury kicks off his retrograde, she will be in your ninth house. This is attracting in mentors, ninth house, people who have wisdom, people who have experience to teach you things. Okay. So there is this higher perspective you're having to gain. It could be listening to a podcast. It could be hiring someone one-on-one. It could be asking people questions who have the financial freedom or the financial abundance that you're searching for. So that's going to be a key goal for you until we get to this Mercury Cazimi halfway point. A few days later, Venus is moving into your 10th house of your career. I love this energy because your primary life coach of attracting and magnetizing things to you will be in your income sector as Mercury clears and ends the retrograde. So I see really at the end of December into early January, you're going to have some opportunity in your career with more recognition, more respect, a higher title, people wanting to pay you more, people recognizing you for your profession or your legacy or your purpose or your mission. And that is going to benefit you, but you got to do the mental work. You got to do the behind the scenes mental work, my Taurus risings, during this Mercury retrograde. So I hope that resonates. Let me know in the comments below. And also don't forget to go back to my overview for the Mercury retrograde so you have a general idea of what's going on collectively. There's a lot more things that I talked about in the video as far as dates that you might want to pay attention to. And of course, check out those do's and don'ts so you know exactly how to navigate this energy in more depth. And then last thing, just to remind you, if you are interested in getting the 2025 Astrology Alchemy Journal, the pre-sale did end on 1/1/1 at the new moon in Scorpio. However, I do now have a PDF copy available. So if you don't care about having the physical copy and you want to just download the PDF and have it on your computer and you can print it out yourself, it is now in the description box below. There is a link. And obviously, it's a little less expensive than the physical hard copy. So just want you to know that that is now available. If you are out of the country, I do not ship out of the United States, but you can now get your PDF copy and have it and print it out right at home so that you can start planning 2025 as Jupiter is going to be retrograde all the way till February 4th.
So I'm going to leave you with this final thought that as this Mercury retrograde is happening in your relationships, as you start noticing the people around you waffling, flip-flopping, changing perspectives, sharing things with you that maybe they've never told you, give them a lot of grace and patience. We're all going through a collective up-leveling right now. Our mindset shifts are happening. We're expanding to a higher level of consciousness. We're learning to appreciate one another in a different way. We're seeing the truth. For some people, that's very jolting. It's very unexpected. And others of us have already probably seen the truth. So there is this huge shift going on collectively, and just give everyone a lot of grace and patience. And I look forward to diving in with you more one-on-one in a 2025 Astro Forecast reading. We always consider it our cosmic planning strategy session where we're going to look at the year ahead, help you tap into the exciting energy that's in store, and of course, navigating some of the potholes that may be coming up in your journey so you know how to deal with them, you can expect them, and maybe drive around them if possible. So I would love to dive in with you. You can get on my calendar. It's in the description box below. Sending you so much love and light as we navigate the end of 2024 and get ready for the whole new reality we're about to step into in 2025. I'll catch you in the next video. Gemini risings, I know you are so used to this Mercury retrograde energy. You know how to navigate it best out of all of my rising signs. However, this one is going to feel like a double Mercury retrograde energy with Jupiter retrograding in your first house and then Mercury now retrograding in your seventh house. This is going to be very disruptive for your relationships, forcing you to reassess, communicate a lot with the people in your life, create some new rules, create some new philosophies. It is definitely going to be a mental upgrade, a mental shift in the way in which you connect, communicate, and speak with the people in your life that you are closest to. And most importantly, reprogramming the stories you tell yourself. so you have better thinking thoughts. And of course, Saturn is going to join this party and help with the up level mentally. So we're going to dive into all of that. Grab your birth chart and let's start talking about it.
All right, Gemini risings. The chart on the left is the chart of your birth chart, what we're going to break down today. And on the right-hand side, I pulled up the chart of December 5th, the Mercury cazimi, the halfway point of the Mercury retrograde. This is obviously going to be very important for you because you are ruled by Mercury. So please go back and at least listen to the overview of this video, but definitely listen to the specifics so you know exactly what dates Mercury is having transits or conversations with the other planets, because this entire Mercury retrograde is going to impact you heavily. There is a lot of Mercury retrograde energy in the sky because not only obviously is Mercury retrograde, but directly opposite in your first house of Gemini, Jupiter is already retrograde. I talked about that more in my Jupiter retrograde video, so go back and listen for your rising sign if you haven't already. But Jupiter retrograde alone since October has already kind of got us in a Mercury retrograde vibe, of Mercury retrograde feel, because it's in Gemini. Now we're going to add Mercury's official retrograde to this energy. And for you, my Gemini risings, this could be a season through the end of the year where you feel very mentally confused or mentally overstimulated, or you're having a lot of second thoughts or second doubts. You're getting a complete mental reprogramming. And I would not be surprised that by the end of this Mercury retrograde, when we get into 2025, you have a completely different perspective or outlook on your life, on the world, on the people around you. Like there's going to be a lot of mental shifts in store for you. Remembering, as Mercury is retrograding in Sagittarius, your 7th house, in 2024, he's spending 9 weeks here instead of his traditional 3.5. So there's an extra amount of time here at the end of this year that is calling you towards your mind, Mercury, focusing in on your 7th house. This is people in your life that you blend or connect your energy with. Your romantic partner, business partners, friendships, people you collaborate with, anyone that you have maybe even have a long-term partnership with. You're going to be spending an extra amount of time communicating with them, connecting with them, learning from them, teaching them something. There is this huge energy of needing to converse with or network with other people to build partnerships, to build friendships, to build community, and to learn from other people. So I would definitely say for you Gemini risings, this is not going to be a season of hermiting, isolating. This is going to be a very cerebral time where there is lots to learn that will ultimately change your perspective, that is teaching you things, that is reprogramming your mind. And of course, with Jupiter retrograde in your first house, you're getting a glow up season, an energy of luck and abundance, expansion and growth. Like you are literally as a soul here in your vessel, in your vehicle, in your body, getting this Jupiterian growth and expansion, going to whole new levels. And right now, Jupiter is retrograde there, so we're working on it. There's some reassessing and reanalyzing, and you're trying to figure out who you are and what you want to do and who you want to connect with and how people relate to you, and you're asking questions and you're being curious, and these are all fantastic things. Do remember, however, that Saturn during this Mercury retrograde is going to square Jupiter and Mercury in your relationship sector from your area of career, your profession. Saturn will officially be out of retrograde during this Mercury retrograde, so that is fantastic news. He is Lord Karma, so he's going to be serving the rewards or the punishments. And hopefully you've learned the Saturn lessons and you're getting the rewards, which is ultimately career opportunities through the connections, through the conversation, through the communication you're hopefully having with people in your 7th house, partnerships. That is going to give Saturn's rewards to your professional life, your reputation, your legacy. Saturn is helping you build a strong foundation here. And it's not over yet. Saturn's going to be here ultimately until 2026. So there is no anchoring down right now yet in your career sector because there is so much more to learn. There's new people to meet and connect with. You're still expanding. You're still growing. And this Mercury retrograde is a huge piece of this puzzle. And it doesn't end until December 15th, but even through the end of the year, you're going to still feel like you are completely mentally shifting who you want to speak to, who you want to connect with, how you want to relate to people, what you want to learn. Like there's a lot of learning. I do have to say, out of all my rising signs, You Gemini risings and of course Virgo risings being ruled by Mercury. If you are a student, please know that any tests you have to take before December 15th are going to be a little challenging as Mercury is retrograde. Okay, so just give yourself extra time, study a little extra. You could feel definitely like this mental mush and confusion and, challenge to those mental things. Go back and watch the specifics. I talk about the dates specifically that Saturn is going to square Mercury. Those are the days you want to pay attention to. I put a graph up during that section of my video, and you can see from that graph the specific dates of the Saturn Mercury squares. They're going to happen 3 times. If you have tests on those days, just anticipate some challenges. And lastly, if you have anything to complete, like travel plans, appointments, contracts, negotiations, any of those things, definitely try to get them wrapped up or at least in the books or confirmed by the 7th of November. Because you are so impacted by Mercury's retrograde, and we're going to be feeling this all the way through the end of the year. The last thing I want to say real quick is that Chiron and the North Node are involved with this energy where Mercury is going to trine Chiron 3 times, and Jupiter has already sextiled this energy. Why this is important for you is because Chiron is bringing up wounds in your relationships to your partnerships that is forcing you to have these conversations, which is ultimately teaching you something about them or teaching you something about yourself. And it's healing wounds around having tough conversations, healing pain points or things that have been uncomfortable in intimate relationships in your life. And they may come up during this Mercury retrograde, but the new perspectives that you're gaining and the new mental clarity that you are having is going to allow you to heal some sort of either friendship, relationship wound, something that keeps coming up that ultimately helps you step into your future, your dreams, your goals, your wishes. So just be aware there may be some tough conversations or painful conversations, but again, they're helping you expand and grow mentally and to teach you new communication skills or relational skills. Okay, so just pay attention to that, my Gemini risings. I hope that resonates. Let me know in the comments below. And also don't forget to go back to my overview for the Mercury retrograde so you have a general idea of what's going on collectively. There's a lot more things that I talked about in the video as far as dates that you might want to pay attention to. And of course, check out those do's and don'ts so you know exactly how to navigate this energy in more depth. And then last thing, just to remind you, if you are interested in getting the 2025 Astrology Alchemy Journal, the pre-sale did end on 1/1/1 at the new moon in Scorpio. However, I do now have a PDF copy available. So if you don't care about having the physical copy and you want to just download the PDF and have it on your computer and you can print it out yourself, it is now in the description box below. There is a link, and obviously it's a little less expensive than the physical hard copy. So just want you to know that that is now available. If you are out of the country, I do not ship out of the United States, but you can now get your PDF copy and have it and print it out right at home so that you can start planning 2025 as Jupiter is going to be retrograde all the way till February 4th.
So I'm going to leave you with this final thought that as this Mercury retrograde is happening in your relationships, as you start noticing the people around you waffling, flip-flopping, changing perspectives, sharing things with you that maybe they've never told you, give them a lot of grace and patience. We're all going through a collective up-leveling right now. Our mindset shifts are happening. We're expanding to a higher level of consciousness. We're learning to appreciate one another in a different way. We're seeing the truth. For some people, that's very jolting. It's very unexpected. And others of us have already probably seen the truth. So there is this huge shift going on collectively, and just give everyone a lot of grace and patience. And I look forward to diving in with you more one-on-one in a 2025 Astro Forecast reading. We always consider it our cosmic planning strategy session where we're going to look at the year ahead, help you tap into the exciting energy that's in store, and of course, navigating some of the potholes that may be coming up in your journey so you know how to deal with them. You can expect them and maybe drive around them if possible. So I would love to dive in with you. You can get on my calendar. It's in the description box below. Sending you so much love and light as we navigate the end of 2024 You get ready for the whole new reality we're about to step into in 2025. I'll catch you in the next video. My Cancer risings, as Mercury is retrograding through the zodiac energy of Sagittarius, he's going to spend an extra amount of time now in your 6th house. This is your area of health and wellness. And as he's retrograding, he is going to reprogram your mind so you have a better quality of life, so you feel better in your body. There's an opportunity to learn new things, to gain more information and knowledge and wisdom that ultimately improves your health and wellness. This is an extremely exciting time for you. We're going to have Saturn and Jupiter participating in this energy, up leveling your mind. This could be changing your daily habits, your daily routines, or even your work-life balance. You're going to be thinking so much differently when it comes to your health because of this retrograde. So grab your birth chart and let's talk about it.
Cancer risings, the chart on the left is what we're going to be breaking down. The chart on the right is the day of the Mercury cazimi, December 5th, the halfway point of the Mercury retrograde. We're going to break all of that down. You, of course, are ruled by the moon, and so we are going to have the new moon in Sagittarius in the same exact zodiac sign as Mercury retrogrades, and so the 6th house area of your life is going to have a lot of attention in it. And of course, the 12th house, because we're going to have the full moon in Sagittarius in December as well, right around the time that Mercury ends his retrograde. So for the entire season of Mercury's retrograde, your 6th, 12th house axis is going to be very potent. A new moon in the 6th house, a full moon in the 12th house, Jupiter retrograde in the 12th house, and Mercury retrograde in your 6th house. These two areas of your life are going to be your focal points where you need to give attention to in your life. Mercury retrograding here in Sagittarius in your 6th house means he's spending 9 weeks instead of the traditional 3.5 in this area of your life, meaning you have to put your mind to this area of your life, reassess, reanalyze, restructure, relearn something around your health and wellness. My Cancer risings, you are ending 2024 with focusing your mental energy around your physical body, your day-to-day habits, your routines, work-life balance, sleep schedules, supplements, doctor's appointments, anything related to your wellness. You've got to be thinking, you need to be learning, you need to be having conversations around it. So if it is having conversations with your doctors, maybe it's with a personal trainer, a nutritionist, maybe you're learning and listening to podcasts to restructure your wellness routines for 2025. This is definitely an important area of your life. When we have that new moon in Sagittarius, you're definitely going to want to set new intentions, put new habits into your day-to-day, making sure that as you're setting yourself up for 2025, your mind is on board with what you need to do physically, okay? This might require some sort of mental reprogramming. This Mercury retrograde is really reinstilling some new thought patterns. Maybe you hate working out. And so during this Mercury retrograde, you got to go back to that story you keep telling yourself and you need to reprogram it. You need to say to yourself, nope, I work out because I want to feel amazing. I love my body and my body can do hard things, right? Like that's a mental reframing, a reprogramming you have to do. And this could be in many different aspects in your wellness routines, in your day-to-day life. Maybe in the evening you scroll on your phone and now you have to have like this mental, reprogramming of like, no, I put my phone away, like really consciously aware of your habits. Your mind has to be focused on this. And directly opposite in the sky, Jupiter's been retrograding in your 12th house. And go back and watch my Jupiter retrograde video for more details on that. But when we have the full moon in Gemini, halfway through the December, that is going to highlight what Jupiter's trying to teach you in your 12th house. And that is finding gratitude, reprogramming your mind, getting out of self-sabotage, getting out of victimization, releasing and letting go of any kind of limiting beliefs that is affecting you on a physical level. There's some sort of emotional things that have to be released at that full moon. And these releases from the subconscious or from your, self-sabotaging aspects are going to benefit you in your health and wellness. Okay, so make sure you set those intentions at the new moon in Sagittarius, get some new activities, learn some things. These are huge energies. Do not forget that Saturn is going to square this energy as well. So there could be challenges coming up in your health, obstacles in your overall, routines, things might not be going so well for you physically. And so Saturn is saying, hold on. He's like that crossing guard. Stop right here. Stop right now. You can see here from the chart, it looks like a T square coming to the end of a road. And it's like, okay, I need to put my mind, take my mental effort and go find that doctor, make my phone calls, that person that's going to help me. I need to call like a health coach. I need to talk to someone about these routines. I need to learn something about my body. There is going to be challenges that present themselves, and Saturn's just trying to teach you the lesson that, hey, we need to focus on this mentally. We cannot be focusing on other areas of life right now. It's all about your wellness. And the last thing I do want to bring up is that we are going to have Mercury trining Chiron 3 times, and Jupiter is already sextiling him. And this is where the North Node is in your career sector. So ultimately, this little piece of the puzzle for your Mercury retrograde is that there could be some pain points or ouchies or uncomfortable things coming up in your career. Maybe you're working a lot. Maybe there's a high demand of projects that have to be completed. Like something is coming up that is irritating or inflammatory or uncomfortable in your career, your professional life, your reputation, your purpose, your mission, your legacy, whatever you're working on. And therefore, it is affecting your health and wellness. And now you have to Mercury your mind, go back to the drawing board and figure out your work-life balance, figure out your routines, figure out what you need to focus on physically, because the job or the career or whatever you're doing is causing pain to your health. So you're working late hours, there's high stress at work, maybe people are talking to you a certain way that is irritating you. And so there's some healing that has to do. So just pay attention to what kind of inflammation is coming up at work that is causing you to focus in again on your health and wellness. I hope that resonates. Let me know in the comments below. And also don't forget to go back to my overview for the Mercury retrograde so you have a general idea of what's going on collectively. There's a lot more things that I talked about in the video as far as dates that you might want to pay attention to. And of course, check out those do's and don'ts so you know exactly how to navigate this energy in more depth. And then last thing, just to remind you, if you are interested in getting the 2025 Astrology Alchemy Journal, the pre-sale did end on 1/1/1 at the new moon in Scorpio. However, I do now have a PDF copy available. So if you don't care about having the physical copy and you want to just download the PDF and have it on your computer and you can print it out yourself, it is now in the description box below. There is a link, and obviously it's a little less expensive than the physical hard copy. So just wanted you to know that that is now available. If you are out of the country, I do not ship out of the United States, but you can now get your PDF copy and have it and print it out right at home so that you can start planning 2025 as Jupiter is going to be retrograde all the way till February 4th.
So I'm going to leave you with this final thought that as this Mercury retrograde is happening in your relationships, as you start noticing the people around you waffling, flip-flopping, changing perspectives, sharing things with you that maybe they've never told you, give them a lot of grace and patience. We're all going through a collective up-leveling right now. Our mindset shifts are happening. We're expanding to a higher level of consciousness. We're learning to appreciate one another in a different way. We're seeing the truth. For some people, that's very jolting. It's very unexpected. And others of us have already probably seen the truth. So there is this huge shift going on collectively, and just give everyone a lot of grace and patience. And I look forward to diving in with you more one-on-one in a 2025 Astro Forecast reading. We always consider it our cosmic planning strategy session, where we're going to look at the year ahead, help you tap into the exciting energy that's in store, and of course, navigating some of the potholes that may be coming up in your journey so you know how to deal with them, you can expect them, and maybe drive around them if possible. So I would love to dive in with you. You can get on my calendar. It's in the description box below. Sending you so much love and light as we navigate the end of 2024 and get ready for the whole new reality we're about to step into in 2025. I'll catch you in the next video. My Leo risings, as Mercury retrogrades in Sagittarius, he's going to be spending an extra amount of time in your 5th house. This is wonderful because the 5th house is the fun house. It is also a fire energy. You love taking action. You love being passionate. You love doing things about things. And Mercury is going to help reprogram your mind, bring in more creativity. The 5th house is the fun house. So how can you have more fun, more play, more joy, more pleasure in your life, helping you up level your mindset, mindset when it comes to a creative passion project, entrepreneurship, or even your children. Lots of exciting energy in store for you, my Leo risings. And of course, Jupiter and Saturn are going to contribute to this energy in reprogramming you in the fifth house area of your life. So let's talk more about it. Grab your birth chart. Let's dive in.
Leo risings, as we get into it, the chart on the left is what we're going to be breaking down. That is where all the planets are in your birth chart. And the chart on the right is a screenshot of the sky on December 5th when Mercury cazimis the sun, the halfway point of the Mercury retrograde. And as we dive in, the first thing to recognize is that this Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius is happening obviously during Sagittarius sun season. So because you are ruled by the sun, I want to start here and just remind you that wherever the sun is in the sky during the 12 astrological seasons from Aries to Pisces, you need to focus in on that area of your life at all times because the sun is highlighting, illuminating, shining a spotlight on that specific area of your chart. And so during this Mercury retrograde, the sun will be in your fifth house of Sagittarius for the entire season that Mercury is retrograde. Okay, so you're already going to be focusing in right before Mercury begins his retrograde on the 25th with the sun shining down on your fifth house. The sun will enter here November 22nd. So you are focusing in on the area of life of fun. Fifth house is all about having fun, joy, pleasure, creativity. It is the house of birthing things. So birthing children, birthing a passion project, working on something that you absolutely love that takes you back to childhood. It is about hobbies and games and entertainment, going to concerts. What do you like to do that makes you feel young? That energy of youth. It is the house of dating, romance. The house of good fortune is entrepreneurship. If you're a business owner, all of these areas of life that I just mentioned, you are shining your sun upon. You are focusing your energy here. And Mercury's now going to go retrograde, meaning he's spending 9 weeks in this area of your chart in 2024 instead of his traditional 3.5 weeks. So that's saying something. That means your mind, Mercury, needs to be focusing in on these areas of your life. And with the retrograde, going back over anything that needs improvement. So, for example, maybe you're working on a creative project and you've gotten stuck. Now you got to go back to it. Or maybe you put it on the back burner because you've been so busy with all the other things during the other sun seasons. But now that the sun has returned back to your house of creativity and passion projects, Mercury's like, oh, Mercury retrograde. I'm going to go back and re-edit. Maybe it's a book you've already launched and you want to re-edit it and like create a second edition. Or maybe you publish something like a course or something that you already put out there and you now Mercury retrograde, go back to it and improve it and make it even better. This is also Mercury retrograde, spending extra amount of time communicating, connecting, chit-chatting with your children, asking them lots of questions, going back over things that maybe you've talked to your children about before, revisiting topics. Maybe it is signing contracts with your children like wills or their college papers. Like there's a lot of mercurial things that maybe need to get done with your children during this Mercury retrograde, going back over things with them. And also, if you are an entrepreneur, this is definitely going to affect you because Mercury is going to create some sort of slowdown or miscommunications or mishaps in this area of your life so that you have more time instead of to be forward facing and making a bunch of phone calls and planning things and strategizing and writing contracts. It's about going back to the drawing board and making sure that all your documents in your business, all your maybe marketing, all the mercurial things are amazing. You go back to the drawing board during a Mercury retrograde. So no launching. I wouldn't say launching anything would be ideal for the end of the year. Wait till Mercury comes out of retrograde on December 15th if you're a business owner. And also with Mercury retrograding here in Sagittarius, it's a lot about your mind getting a reprogramming that having fun is okay. Nurturing your inner child is necessary. Doing things just for pure joy instead of financial gain is ideal. Like we need these things. You're getting a broader perspective. You're shifting your perspective around fun, play, spending time on your hobbies. Like there's this reprocessing that's happening. And of course, Jupiter is retrograde directly opposite in the sky in your 11th house. Go watch my Jupiter retrograde video to break that down even more. But this is also playing into the Mercury retrograde, where you're also having to go back to friendships, communities, tribes, people you associate with, and determine if these are people that actually make you feel like you could have a good time. They're fun to be around. They make you feel lighthearted and optimistic, or these people that are like kind of sucking you dry. So there is something around your friendships and having conversations with friends that could make you realize and recognize who are your people that bring a lot of joy into your life, and spending time with those people will be important. Saturn is going to square this energy, so definitely pay attention from any blocks or obstacles around your 5th house from Saturn. Saturn is in your financial sector of debts, loans, taxes, inheritances, money that ties and connects you to other people. So again, if you're a business owner, you may have to go back and think a lot of financial stuff, contracts and stuff, looking back at like any loans that you have to pay back. Maybe people owe you at the end of the year, so you're having to go back to old invoices. Like Saturn's definitely going to throw some financial obstacles in here. If it's with your children, there may be, again, those conversations around inheritances or wills or loans that you're taking on for your children. Maybe your children owe you money. Like there's going to just be this financial aspect with Saturn in your 8th house regarding 5th house topics. And the last thing I want to say is that Mercury during his retrograde will trine Chiron in your 9th house 3 times. And Jupiter has already been sextiling Chiron. And so there is some wounds that are coming up. So I want you to pay attention in conversation, in connection with your children or in business or even dating. The 5th house is dating. If you're dating someone, there could be some wounds that are coming up, some pain points, some irritation around that other person's beliefs or views, their perspective on life, and that could be irritating you. It's helping you reprogram your mind. It's helping you learn things, but just know that differing opinions or differing belief systems could be really triggering or really irritating to you, but it's to help you expand your mind. It's to help you get out of your comfort zone. It's to help you learn new things about people in your life. So just know there might be some contentious conversations, but they're to teach you. So keep an open mind. You're here to expand and grow your mind during this Mercury retrograde. I hope that resonates. Let me know in the comments below. And also don't forget to go back to my overview for the Mercury retrograde so you have a general idea of what's going on collectively. There's a lot more things that I talked about in the video as far as dates that you might want to pay attention to. And of course, check out those do's and don'ts so you know exactly how to navigate this energy in more depth. And then last thing, just to remind you, if you are interested in getting the 2025 Astrology Alchemy Journal, the pre-sale did end on 1/1/1 at the new moon in Scorpio. However, I do now have a PDF copy available. So if you don't care about having the physical copy and you want to just download the PDF and have it on your computer and you can print it out yourself, it is now in the description box below. There is a link. And obviously, it's a little less expensive than the physical hard copy. So just want you to know that that is now available. If you are out of the country, I do not ship out of the United States, but you can now get your PDF copy and have it and print it out right at home so that you can start planning 2025, as Jupiter is going to be retrograde all the way till February 4th.
So I'm going to leave you with this final thought that as this Mercury retrograde is happening in your relationships, as you start noticing the people around you waffling, flip-flopping, changing perspectives, sharing things with you that maybe they've never told you, give them a lot of grace and patience. We're all going through a collective up-leveling right now. Our mindset shifts are happening. We're expanding to a higher level of consciousness. We're learning to appreciate one another in a different way. We're seeing the truth. For some people, that's very jolting. It's very unexpected. And others of us have already probably seen the truth. So there is this huge shift going on collectively, and just give everyone a lot of grace and patience. And I look forward to diving in with you more one-on-one in a 2025 Astro Forecast reading. We always consider it our cosmic planning strategy session, where we're going to look at the year ahead, help you tap into the exciting energy that's in store, and of course, navigating some of the potholes that may be coming up in your journey so you know how to deal with them. You can expect them and maybe drive around them if possible. So I would love to dive in with you. You can get on my calendar. It's in the description box below. Sending you so much love and light as we navigate the end of 2024 You get ready for the whole new reality we're about to step into in 2025. I'll catch you in the next video. My Virgo risings, of course, you know how to handle a Mercury retrograde, but this one is going to impact you more than the rest because not only is Mercury retrograding and spending an extra amount of time in your fourth house of home and family, but Jupiter is retrograding opposite in the sky in your 10th house of career. You, my Virgo risings, are the missing puzzle piece of the grand cross energy that we're talking about in today's video. If you didn't listen to that, go back and listen to the overview because we're going to have Saturn in your 7th house, Jupiter in your 10th, Mercury in your 4th, and you, Virgo, are the missing square of this puzzle piece. And so this is going to impact your anchor houses, the most important areas of your life. You're going to have a complete mindset shift, up level mentally, a new program in your mind by the time we're done with this Mercury retrograde. So grab your birth chart and let's just get right into it.
Virgo risings, just like Gemini risings, you're going to feel this because you are ruled by Mercury. We're going to break it all down. The chart on the left is where all the planets are in relationship to your birth chart. The graph on the right is a screenshot of the sky when Mercury reaches his halfway point on December 5th, the Mercury Cazimi point. Now, as we dive in, really starting out with understanding that Mercury is in your fourth house of home for an extra amount of time in 2024 because of his retrograde. Traditionally, he would only spend about 3.5 weeks putting your mind on your home, your family, real estate, property, past life stuff. But this year in 2024, we're ending the year with Mercury parking here for those 9 weeks. So there's going to be a lot of thoughts, conversations, learning, communication around home and family. And of course, it's during the holidays. However, Mercury retrogrades bring their challenges and their hiccups. And we'll talk more about that in just a second, what that's going to look like. But of course, you're ruled by Mercury. So definitely what I would recommend for you is making sure you listen to not only the overview of my video, but more importantly, the specifics, because in the specifics, I talk about all the transits, all the aspects, the conversations Mercury's having with the other planets. And of course, anything Mercury does in the sky is going to impact you the most, being Mercury ruled. So making sure you know exactly the dates to pay attention to. But I'm going to give you the overview right now. With Mercury retrograding in your fourth house of home and family through the 15th of December, and you're going to be feeling this energy all the way until January 2nd when the post-shadow energy ends. But this is a lot of reprogramming your mind, re-understanding, relearning, and having conversations with people in your family. It could be the family that you were born into, the family that you've created, your friends that are family, but there is going to be a mental reprogramming that happens to you due to the conversations that you have with your family. What do I mean by this? So there is definitely differing opinions. Sagittarius has higher conscious perspective. It is the energy of new beliefs, new philosophies, new views on the world. And a lot of these new views that are going to be programmed into you come from the perspectives of the people around you. The people that you call family, who may have a differing opinion from you, that may have a different mindset. And so they're going to teach you a lot this month. I would be very open-minded. I would be asking a lot of questions, spending time with family, connecting with family. You may be going back to old conversations that you had with family members. So maybe you had an agreement with someone, or you made plans, or you were talking about something like a year and a half ago, and you're circling back and checking in and making sure they're okay. There's going to be a lot of your mind focusing in on home and family. Now, around the home specifically with this Mercury retrograde, I would definitely make sure you have your ducks in a row as you are ruled by Mercury on anything regarding your home for end of the year planning. So if you're needing to hire a contractor, you're needing to sign paperwork, a loan, a document for your home, file taxes, like anything mercurial related as far as paperwork, contracts, negotiations, appointments. When it comes to your home, I would recommend getting it done before November 7th. If you can't, just understand there's going to be some hiccups, some miscommunications, some disruptions, something could be coming up that makes it a little challenging with Mercury in your fourth house of home and family and retrograding. The other thing to understand with this energy is that maybe there is more information you're needing to gather. Mercury retrogrades allow you to go back over and gather more data, more facts, more information, and you may have to do it from a higher perspective or gain the wisdom, gain the knowledge of experts. So if you're trying to sell your home, renovate your home, something regarding your home, you may need to find a mentor, an expert, someone who really knows their stuff, as Sagittarius is really the energy of the gurus. So go find the information that you need to move forward in this area of your life. Of course, Jupiter is going to be retrograding directly opposite in the sky in Gemini. And this is definitely affecting you already, as Jupiter began his retrograde on October 9th. So I would recommend go back and listen to my Jupiter retrograde video if you haven't already, for your rising sign, to get a better understanding of how this is playing into Mercury's retrograde. However, right now we know that Jupiter is in your 10th house of career. So maybe your career has been stalled. Jupiter, dries up energy, dries up luck and abundance. So maybe things are just kind of slow in your career. You don't have a lot of projects. You don't seem to be getting the promotion. Like, things are just not flowing as easily as it normally would when Jupiter is direct in your 10th house. But it's allowing you to focus your Mercury, your mind, your mental energy on home and family. So if at the end of the year, traditionally, maybe at work, you're really busy, you have a lot of projects and things aren't really happening that way this year, it's okay. Go back to home and family, call your family, spend time with family, have conversations, looking at your home. There really could be a shift going on here when Mercury and Jupiter come out of retrograde in early 2025 for a move, a new job position. Maybe the new position requires you to move. So even getting your ducks in a row at home right now might be really important during this Mercury retrograde. Don't forget that Saturn is squaring this energy from your 7th house. So challenges and obstacles could be coming up right now, as Saturn, likes to teach lessons. And there could be challenges coming up around your partner. Maybe it's your marriage partner, the person that you live with. Maybe they want to move. Maybe they're having issues and it's challenging you to, mentally reframe or reprogram where you want to live, what you want to do with your home, like all these things. There's definitely some challenges. These are major areas of your chart, right? Your career, your home, and relationships, partnerships. So just know there's going to be disruptions and shakeups and, unexpected twists and turns that are happening for you, my Virgo risings, as we wrap up this year. And lastly, I do want to remind you that we have Mercury, as he's retrograding, trining Chiron 3 times. And Jupiter is already sextiled Chiron in your 8th house. So there could be some Chiron wounds, pain points, inflammation, irritation coming up in the 8th house that you're having to Mercury mentally focus in on when it comes to home or your family. The 8th house is death, inheritances, taxes, loans, wills, financial areas of life that tie you to another person. So there could be people in your family that owe you money. Maybe you get money from someone in your family. Maybe there's a transfer of wealth. Maybe there's, taxes coming up or something, really financially that is a pain point, that's an irritation, something, maybe it's an old wound. Maybe it's, a will or something that is having to be discussed again or renegotiated, or having these tough conversations, and it's painful and it's irritating and it's Chiron, it's uncomfortable, but there's some opportunity for healing and addressing it so that it doesn't become a sore spot anymore. So pay attention. That could definitely be running in the background as well for you, my Virgo risings. I hope that resonates. Let me know in the comments below. And also don't forget to go back to my overview for the Mercury retrograde so you have a general idea of what's going on collectively. There's a lot more things that I talked about in the video as far as dates that you might want to pay attention to. And of course, check out those do's and don'ts so you know exactly how to navigate this energy in more depth. And then last thing, just to remind you, if you are interested in getting the 2025 Astrology Alchemy Journal, the pre-sale did end on 1/1/1 at the new moon in Scorpio. However, I do now have a PDF copy available. So if you don't care about having the physical copy and you want to just download the PDF and have it on your computer and you can print it out yourself, it is now in the description box below. There is a link, and obviously it's a little less expensive than the physical hard copy. So just want you to know that that is now available. If you are out of the country, I do not ship out of the United States, but you can now get your PDF copy and have it and print it out right at home so that you can start planning 2025, as Jupiter is going to be retrograde all the way till February 4th.
So I'm going to leave you with this final thought that as this Mercury retrograde is happening in your relationships, as you start noticing the people around you waffling, flip-flopping, changing perspectives, sharing things with you that maybe they've never told you, give them a lot of grace and patience. We're all going through a collective up-leveling right now. Our mindset shifts are happening. We're expanding to a higher level of consciousness. We're learning to appreciate one another in a different way. We're seeing the truth. For some people, that's very jolting. It's very unexpected. And others of us have already probably seen the truth. So there is this huge shift going on collectively, and just give everyone a lot of grace and patience. And I look forward to diving in with you more one-on-one in a 2025 Astro Forecast reading. We always consider it our cosmic planning strategy session, where we're going to look at the year ahead, help you tap into the exciting energy that's in store, and of course, navigating some of the potholes that may be coming up in your journey, so you know how to deal with them, you can expect them, and maybe drive around them if possible. So I would love to dive in with you. You can get on my calendar. It's in the description box below. Sending you so much love and light as we navigate the end of 2024 and get ready for the whole new reality we're about to step into in 2025. I'll catch you in the next video. My Libra risings, as Mercury is retrograding in the zodiac energy of Sagittarius, this is giving you an extra amount of time to reassess, to analyze, to reflect back on your life of all the information that you've ever learned, all the information you've collected, and reprogram your mind with a new philosophy, a new perspective. This is going to be such a mental up level for you. You're going to learn a lot. You're going to communicate a lot. You have an opportunity to share your story in major ways by the end of this Mercury retrograde. And there's a lot of experience and wisdom that you still need to absorb in order to up level in your life. I'm so excited to help you navigate this energy. So just grab your birth chart and we'll dive right in.
Libra risings, as we can see, there's a lot going on in your chart. On the left side, we're going to break that down. The graph on the right, I screenshotted the day that Mercury goes cazimi, meaning his halfway point of the Mercury retrograde, which is on December 5th. So starting out with the fact that your primary life coach of Venus is going to be moving from Capricorn during the beginning of this Mercury retrograde into Aquarius right after the Mercury cazimi. So we're going to break that down in just a moment, but know that she's going to be shifting energies. And so how you can attract and magnetize things into your life is going to shift from the first half of the retrograde to the second half of the retrograde. And more on that in just a moment. The first thing I really want to talk about is that as Mercury is retrograding in Sagittarius in 2024, it means that he's spending 9 weeks in your third house instead of his traditional 3.5 weeks. And so this is now a season for you as we end this year to have your mind, Mercury, focusing in on the third house area of your life and re-understanding, reprogramming, relearning, reassessing. There's some sort of mental reworking that needs to happen as Mercury is spending this extra time in your third house. Now, the third house deals with siblings, your networks, your neighbors, people that you kind of communicate with on a day-to-day basis. It deals a lot with teachers, schoolwork, education, learning. It deals with transportation, so like your bike, your car, how you get from point A to point B. And it also deals with your mind, how you speak, how you express, how you communicate, what you're sharing, your message, your mission, and how you're using your words to teach other people. And so this Mercury retrograde is going to give you an opportunity to go back over some conversations maybe you've had with your siblings, spending extra amount of time chit-chatting with them on the phone, connecting with them, maybe working through a problem. Maybe you're planning something with them, planning a trip, planning a party, like something mentally, spending more time with your siblings or neighbors even. Now, I do want to say if you are in a position of education, so you're teaching, mentoring, sharing your message via marketing or social media, this is going to be a time where you don't want to be as forward facing. So maybe not launching anything, maybe not necessarily making a bunch of content as Mercury is retrograde, so your mind is definitely going to be impacted by this, but you may want to go back over your marketing, go back to your marketing, go back to how you're presenting yourself, go back to the words that you're using, the language, the tone, and maybe rebranding yourself. Now, if you are doing a podcast, a blog, courses, like anything like that, you may want to go back, Mercury, and refresh them. maybe rework the contracts, rework the price, rework the program, or, you know, the PDFs in the program. So there's some sort of going back when it comes to communication and how you're communicating with people. It's be a great season for you to refresh your skills, refresh your knowledge, go back to, you know, an old podcast that you listened to. Also a great time for you to gain more wisdom or knowledge. Sagittarius is all about being the guru, being the master around communication. So maybe you need to take a public speaking class. You need to work on using your voice as like influence. Like any of these things might be really important for you, my Libra risings. And remembering that Jupiter is retrograding opposite in the sky in your ninth house. So that is your beliefs, your values. It's traveling, it's understanding, it's higher education. So it's like going to college or going on a retreat. So there's a lot of mental reprogramming that's happening specifically for you during this Mercury retrograde. I would not be surprised that by the time this Mercury retrograde is over, and even more specifically when the post-shadow phase ends on January 2nd, you're going to go into 2025 with a completely different view on life, a different perspective, a different opinion. You're going to have a completely different philosophy, what you want to focus your mind on, what you want to focus your energy on. There's some wisdom or experience you're meant to gain during this season. I would go back and listen to my Jupiter retrograde video where I break that down a little bit more in depth, but there's definitely something that's coming into your experience during this Mercury retrograde that you're going to have to revisit and re-understand, and it's going to bring in knowledge or wisdom that you can use to benefit your life. Now, let's talk about your primary life coach, Venus, here. Remember, she always says where you can attract and magnetize things into your life to make it more beautiful and more pleasurable. As we enter into this Mercury retrograde, Venus will already be in your fourth house of home and family. So beautifying your home, beautifying your spaces, having conversations with your family, putting boundaries in place with family, all of those things will be really important. Right after the Mercury cazimi, the halfway point of the Mercury retrograde, Venus will move into your fifth house. And that's going to be an opportune time as we're ending this Mercury retrograde, a season for you to have fun, to work on creative projects, specifically as Venus is making your passion projects, your creative projects more beautiful. The fifth house is also the house of entrepreneurship. So if you are needing to Mercury retrograde, rework a program, a podcast, a blog, your marketing, your social media during this Mercury retrograde, that is going to benefit you as Venus attracts good things and beautiful things into those creative passion projects, into your business. So I would definitely say ending the year with doing some sort of creative content, creative inspiration, maybe game planning or goal planning is going to be really beneficial for you with Venus in Capricorn and then in your fifth house. So there is a lot of creative juices that are possible with this Mercury retrograde. Just don't be as forward facing. The last thing to kind of wrap up here is Saturn is squaring this Mercury retrograde from your sixth house of health and wellness. He is out of retrograde by the time we get into Mercury's retrograde. So just remember, Saturn is impacting this energy. There is some mental things you have to learn, some wisdom you have to gain, some opinions you have to change. And it could be because you are learning some lessons around your health and wellness. So if health challenges are coming up, you probably didn't learn the Saturn lesson. It's time to get back in and learn something about your day-to-day habits, your routines, getting more committed around them, maybe hiring a mentor, asking for advice, asking for guidance. Like, there's, again, your mind and what you need to learn could be impacted by your health or could ultimately end up benefiting your health, okay? So make sure you're putting in the work, Saturn in your sixth house during this season. And lastly, there might be some pain points, some inflammation, some irritation that comes up around partnerships, friendships, people that you are connected to as Chiron is trining this Mercury retrograde and sextiling Jupiter. So Chiron is involved creating ouchies, pain points, disruptions, uncomfortability in partnerships that is, again, causing you to relearn how to communicate, how to speak, how to express, changing your belief systems, changing your philosophy, teaching you things. So some of the things you might be learning during this season, mentally reprogramming, is due to irritation or inflammation or conflict that could be coming up around partnerships, and making sure you don't forget to pay attention to your health, Okay, Libra Risings, there's obviously a lot going on for you during this season, and I'd love to dive in way more with you on a one-on-one because next year we also have a lot of energy that's going to be impacting you, and so we can dive into that later. I hope that resonates. Let me know in the comments below. And also don't forget to go back to my overview for the Mercury retrograde so you have a general idea of what's going on collectively. There's a lot more things that I talked about in the video as far as dates that you might want to pay attention to. And of course, check out those do's and don'ts so you know exactly how to navigate this energy in more depth. And then last thing, just to remind you, if you are interested in getting the 2025 Astrology Alchemy Journal, the pre-sale did end on 1/1/1 at the new moon in Scorpio. However, I do now have a PDF copy available. So if you don't care about having the physical copy and you want to just download the PDF and have it on your computer and you can print it out yourself, it is now in the description box below. There is a link, and obviously it's a little less expensive than the physical hard copy. So just want you to know that that is now available. If you are out of the country, I do not ship out of the United States, but you can now get your PDF copy and have it and print it out right at home so that you can start planning 2025 as Jupiter is going to be retrograde all the way till February 4th.
So I'm going to leave you with this final thought that as this Mercury retrograde is happening in your relationships, as you start noticing the people around you waffling, flip-flopping, changing perspectives, sharing things with you that maybe they've never told you, give them a lot of grace and patience. We're all going through a collective up-leveling right now. Our mindset shifts are happening. We're expanding to a higher level of consciousness. We're learning to appreciate one another in a different way. We're seeing the truth. For some people, that's very jolting. It's very unexpected. And others of us have already probably seen the truth. So there is this huge shift going on collectively, and just give everyone a lot of grace and patience. And I look forward to diving in with you more one-on-one in a 2025 Astro Forecast reading. We always consider it our cosmic planning strategy session where we're going to look at the year ahead, help you tap into the exciting energy that's in store, and of course, navigating some of the potholes that may be coming up in your journey so you know how to deal with them, you can expect them, and maybe drive around them if possible. So I would love to dive in with you. You can get on my calendar. It's in the description box below. Sending you so much love and light as we navigate the end of 2024 and get ready for the whole new reality we're about to step into in 2025. I'll catch you in the next video. My Scorpio risings, Mercury spending an extra amount of time in the zodiac energy of Sagittarius because of his retrograde is going to benefit you financially. This is a Mercury retrograde that is going to impact your income sector, your material possessions, what you value, what you prioritize. This is going to be a 9-week journey of having your money on your mind on your money, helping you reprogram and reassess and up-level your mindset, your beliefs, the story you're telling yourself for more financial abundance, to find new ways to pull in more resources. This is going to benefit you in a monetarily way by the end of this retrograde. I'm so excited to navigate this with you. Grab your birth chart. Let's get into it.
Scorpio risings, of course, there is so much going on during this Mercury retrograde for you as your primary life coach planet Mars is moving into Leo. He will be retrograding on the day of the Mercury cazimi, the halfway point of this Mercury retrograde. Pluto is now officially in Aquarius, so there is so much to break down. The chart on the left is what we're going to be referencing. However, on the right is the day of the Mercury cazimi, the halfway point of the Mercury retrograde on December 5th. The following day, Mars will officially go retrograde. So the first half of our Mercury retrograde from November 25th till December 5th is going to be, annoying for you as Mercury is in your financial sector, but you're definitely going to feel the difference of the second half of the Mercury retrograde after that cazimi, because your primary life coach Mars will also be retrograde. So we'll break that down more in just a second, but let's go back to this Mercury retrograde energy in your second house of income. So this year in 2024, you're going to have Mercury, your mind on your money, money on your mind, lots of mental energy that you have to exert towards your money, income, finances, budget, things like that, because Mercury's spending 9 weeks here instead of his traditional 3.5, okay? Because he's going to retrograde and come back. So there's a lot of mental reprogramming, mental thoughts, perspectives, knowledge, wisdom, experience that you have to gain during this Mercury retrograde around your money, around your income, okay? So it's going back to your budget. It's having conversations on money, talking to your CPA, Maybe you are Mercury signing contracts around this financial area of your life. Maybe you are selling things, as Mercury is commerce. So maybe you're selling some material possessions, or you're buying material possessions and having contract negotiations. There's going to be a lot of money things. And specifically, I'm going to keep going back to mental reprogramming, limiting beliefs, a higher conscious perspective, a different view that you're having to learn around your financial area of life. Directly opposite in the sky, you have Jupiter retrograding in your 8th house, your other financial area of life, money connected to other people. So this Mercury retrograde, as we end the year, is definitely going to be impacting you financially. There's lessons to learn here. There's information you have to gather. There's knowledge and wisdom that you need to absorb and download into your mind so that you can have more abundance. You can have more prosperity as you move into 2025. So this is definitely anything related to your finances, your money, your income. Definitely pay attention to it, as Mercury could be bringing disruptions or bringing it to the forefront, or there's some miscommunications around it. Definitely, making sure you're paying your bills on time. If you are spending any money on traveling, specifically with this Mercury retrograde, make sure that it comes with insurance, or you can get your money back. Like, all of these things can be very prominent during this Mercury retrograde for you. Now, let's talk about Saturn. It could be bringing some disruptions, because Saturn, as we see here, is T-squaring this energy. And therefore, he is teaching lessons. And of course, he's out of retrograde by this point. So he is serving karma, rewards or punishments, depending on how well you learn that Saturn lesson. And so there could be some rewards that are coming in from the 5th house, from a creative passion project you've been working on. Maybe it's in your business, as the 5th house is entrepreneurship. Maybe there is something beneficial that's coming in from dating someone or your romantic life, and it's benefiting you financially. Maybe a passion project you've been working on is now going to benefit you financially. And now Mercury, you're going to have to learn what to do with that money, or you're learning to budget all this money that could be coming in. Or the opposite, Saturn is punishing you because you haven't been working on this area of your life and you haven't created a strong foundation. And maybe it's with your children, for example, and you didn't give them an allowance or a budget, and now they've spent too much money. And now Mercury, you're having to renegotiate your money. You're having to pay credit card bills. Like, it could be positive or negative, depending on these Saturn lessons. So just know there might be some hiccups or obstacles in your financial world with the Mercury and the Jupiter retrograde. Definitely go back and listen to my Jupiter retrograde video for more information on all of that. Now, just remember, like I mentioned, during this Mercury retrograde season, Pluto is now in your 4th house of home. This is subtle. You're barely going to notice it. However, now we are beginning this 20-year journey of your home and family area of life undergoing transformation. But wherever Pluto is, there's power, there's control. So now you're stepping into a position of power or authority, having more control over where you live, more power within the family unit of what you want to do, the outcomes of your life in this area. So just know that's happening in the background, so subtle. And Mars on December 6th, the second half of this Mercury retrograde, pay attention. You're going to definitely be going inward. You're not going to feel as vital. You're not going to feel as, energized, as your primary life coach is going retrograde. This is where you feel your chi, your stamina start sinking. You're going to become even more mentally aware, mentally alert, mentally focused as your physical body is slowing down. And Mars is in your 10th house of career. So the first half of this Mercury retrograde up to the Cazimi, it's exerting energy in your career, your public image, your reputation, your mission. And then all of a sudden, the second half of the Mercury retrograde, when these money things, you're like, oh, that's what I need to do with my money. Oh, because of this action I took in my professional life or in my career, now this money's coming in, or the lack of money's coming in, and now I have to figure out mentally what to do with it. So this Mars retrograde in your career sector is definitely playing into the financial lessons you're meant to learn during this retrograde. And the final thing to keep in mind is, as Mercury in your income sector is in a trine 3 times with Chiron in your 6th house. So there could be some pain points, some inflammation, some irritation, some ouchiness that comes up from your daily life, your daily habits, your work-life balance or sleep schedule, your physical health and well-being, that triggers some sort of financial expenditure, some sort of money that you have to use towards your health. It could also be that you are having to stop neglecting your health and start budgeting for health things. So just pay attention. There could be some triggers or ouchies that come around your health and wellness that is causing you to, again, mentally reprogram what you're going to be doing with your money, your budget, your income. So it definitely could be playing out in the background. So pay attention. I hope that resonates. Let me know in the comments below. And also don't forget to go back to my overview for the Mercury retrograde so you have a general idea of what's going on collectively. There's a lot more things that I talked about in the video as far as dates that you might want to pay attention to. And of course, check out those do's and don'ts so you know exactly how to navigate this energy in more depth. And then last thing, just to remind you, if you are interested in getting the 2025 Astrology Alchemy Journal, the pre-sale did end on 1/1/1 at the new moon in Scorpio. However, I do now have a PDF copy available. So if you don't care about having the physical copy and you want to just download the PDF and have it on your computer and you can print it out yourself, it is now in the description box below. There is a link, and obviously it's a little less expensive than the physical hard copy. So just want you to know that that is now available. If you are out of the country, I do not ship out of the United States, but you can now get your PDF copy and have it and print it out right at home so that you can start planning 2025, as Jupiter is going to be retrograde all the way till February 4th.
So I'm going to leave you with this final thought that as this Mercury retrograde is happening in your relationships, as you start noticing the people around you waffling, flip-flopping, changing perspectives, sharing things with you that maybe they've never told you, give them a lot of grace and patience. We're all going through a collective up-leveling right now. Our mindset shifts are happening. We're expanding to a higher level of consciousness. We're learning to appreciate one another in a different way. We're seeing the truth. For some people, that's very jolting. It's very unexpected. And others of us have already probably seen the truth. So there is this huge shift going on collectively, and just give everyone a lot of grace and patience. And I look forward to diving in with you more one-on-one in a 2025 Astro Forecast reading. We always consider it our cosmic planning strategy session, where we're going to look at the year ahead, help you tap into the exciting energy that's in store, and of course, navigating some of the potholes that may be coming up in your journey so you know how to deal with them, you can expect them, and maybe drive around them if possible. So I would love to dive in with you. You can get on my calendar. It's in the description box below. Sending you so much love and light as we navigate the end of 2024 and get ready for the whole new reality we're about to step into in 2025. I'll catch you in the next video. My Sagittarius Risings, this Mercury retrograde is going to hit you hard because you already have Jupiter, your primary life coach, retrograde in your 7th house of relationships. You've already been feeling this energy, and now Mercury is going to retrograde in your 1st house of the self. You're going to get a mental reprogramming, a whole new up level in your perspectives, your views, your dreams, your wishes, your desires. This is going to be a complete mindset shift. And the way in which you up level mentally and change your viewpoints and change your beliefs is going to impact your relationships, because people think of you in a certain way. You have taught them certain things, and now you're changing everything about the way you believe the world to be true. So relationships can be impacted. As your relational astrologer, I'm so excited to navigate this with you. Grab your birth chart. I'll pull up the chart and let's get into it.
All right, let's get into it. The chart on the left is what we're going to be breaking down. The chart on the right is a screenshot of December 5th, the Mercury cazimi, the halfway point of the Mercury retrograde. So you can reference that as we go through all of this. As we dive in, we know that your primary life coach, Jupiter, is already retrograde. He is heavily impacting Mercury's retrograde as we navigate this season. Mercury this year in 2024 is spending an extra amount of time, 9 weeks to be exact, in your 1st house, where he traditionally would only be spending about 3.5 weeks, which means now your mind needs to be on me. My dreams, my wishes, my wants, my desires. This is really a time for you, a season to mentally reframe, mentally reprogram, to put your mind towards yourself. Instead of exerting all of your energy towards the other things in your life, your career, your finances, your friends, your children, like all the other areas, the end of 2024 is calling you to mentally focus on yourself. Think about yourself, think about your dreams, think about your wishes. This is even mentally learning things about yourself. How do you like to dress? How do you like to appear? How do you like to identify yourself? What is your identity? What do people think of you? This is even Mercury being commerce and media and marketing, looking at your social media. What is your persona? What is the image you're portraying? And spending an extra amount of time going back over that. Mercury retrograde, re-editing, reanalyzing, reassessing. How are you showing up in the world? And is it giving the opinion or the perspective that you want people to have of you? This is like the glow up energy that we see all over YouTube, the glow up season. This is definitely a time for you to shift your mind towards yourself and asking yourself, who am I? What do I desire? How do people see me, right? Asking those reframing mental questions. Now, Jupiter retrograde in your 7th house of partnerships is holding you back as he's retrograde. He's not expanding this area. He's forcing you to go back and have gratitude for the people in your life that appreciate you, that see you, that understand you, that get you, instead of meeting new people. So this is not really a time for getting out there and networking and connecting and meeting new people. There's no expansion happening in your 7th house with Jupiter retrograde there. So going back to focusing in on yourself, on your 1st house, is going to be so important during this season. And of course, don't forget that Saturn is squaring this energy. You can see it looks like a T-square, a roadblock. Saturn always acts like the crossing guard that's like, stop, hold on a second. Is this actually working for us? Is this sustainable long term? And Saturn being in your 4th house, he's now out of retrograde, so he is serving the rewards or the punishments depending on how well you mastered his lesson during his retrograde. So during this season, you may be getting some rewards from home, from family that is benefiting you, helping you with your dreams, helping you get out there in the world. Or there could be challenges where maybe people in your family are like, oh, you've changed. You're so different, right? Because now you've glowed up. You're leveling up. You're changing who you are. There could also be a lot of new belief systems or opinions. You might be changing your philosophy, your political affiliation, your religious beliefs. Like there could be a lot of change as you're going through this retrograde. And that could be squaring Saturn in your 4th house of home and family, bringing up tension in family, bringing up arguments, bringing up this question of, am I doing this because my family wants me to, or do I want to reframe my persona and my identity to live the way I want to live? So there could be some of that going on as well. And lastly, just remembering that we are going to have Mercury trining Chiron 3 times. And Chiron always brings up pain points, wounds, irritation, inflammation, things that are uncomfortable. It could be from inner child wounds, specifically for you, Sagittarius Risings, because Chiron's in your 5th house right now. So there's something from your inner child that is getting activated, that is inflaming, that is irritating, that you're mentally having to reprogram, mentally having to process, have conversations around, or figure out, that's ultimately holding you back from leveling up, glowing up, appearing out to the world who you want to be seen as. And so if you're going through this transformation of getting out of your comfort zone and wanting to show up in the world as a new version of yourself, go back to your inner child. What work has to be done? What mental reprogramming has to be rewritten that was given to you as a child that now you're having to face and reprocess as the new version of yourself? Okay. And that is ultimately maybe going to bring irritation to partnerships as you start acting different, dressing different, appearing different, communicating different, thinking different. And there could be the disruption or the unexpected reaction of people in your relationships. So that is the gist of what's going on. Of course, go back and listen to the Jupiter retrograde video for more information as we're navigating this entire season. But just know we're ending the year with your primary life coach retrograde all the way till February 4th. I hope that resonates. Let me know in the comments below. And also don't forget to go back to my overview for the Mercury retrograde so you have a general idea of what's going on collectively. There's a lot more things that I talked about in the video as far as dates that you might want to pay attention to. And of course, check out those do's and don'ts so you know exactly how to navigate this energy in more depth. And then last thing, just to remind you, if you are interested in getting the 2025 Astrology Alchemy Journal, the pre-sale did end on 1/1/1 at the new moon in Scorpio. However, I do now have a PDF copy available. So if you don't care about having the physical copy and you want to just download the PDF and have it on your computer and you can print it out yourself, it is now in the description box below. There is a link, and obviously it's a little less expensive than the physical hard copy. So just want you to know that that is now available. If you are out of the country, I do not ship out of the United States, but you can now get your PDF copy and have it and print it out right at home so that you can start planning 2025, as Jupiter is going to be retrograde all the way till February 4th.
So I'm going to leave you with this final thought that as this Mercury retrograde is happening in your relationships, as you start noticing the people around you waffling, flip-flopping, changing perspectives, sharing things with you that maybe they've never told you, give them a lot of grace and patience. We're all going through a collective up-leveling right now. Our mindset shifts are happening. We're expanding to a higher level of consciousness. We're learning to appreciate one another in a different way. We're seeing the truth. For some people, that's very jolting. It's very unexpected. And others of us have already probably seen the truth. So there is this huge shift going on collectively, and just give everyone a lot of grace and patience. And I look forward to diving in with you more one-on-one in a 2025 Astro Forecast reading. We always consider it our cosmic planning strategy session, where we're going to look at the year ahead, help you tap into the exciting energy that's in store, and of course, navigating some of the potholes that may be coming up in your journey so you know how to deal with them, you can expect them, and maybe drive around them if possible. So I would love to dive in with you. You can get on my calendar. It's in the description box below. Sending you so much love and light as we navigate the end of 2024 and get ready for the whole new reality we're about to step into in 2025. I'll catch you in the next video. My Capricorn Risings, this Mercury retrograde is definitely going to impact you because your primary life coach Saturn is squaring Mercury 3 times during his journey here in the zodiac energy of Sagittarius. This is playing out in your 12th house. So there is a lot of limiting beliefs, subconscious programming, mindset shifts that need to be reinstilled. A new software program for you to step into the next chapter of your life. Capricorn Risings, you definitely have that hard work, disciplinarian energy infused into you, but this might be a time where you completely shift not only your perspective on life, but the way in which you think about yourself, the people around you, your experiences. This is definitely going to be a new chapter, a new journey in the way in which you think, express, speak, and communicate. And I'm so excited to see this unfold for you. So grab your birth chart and I'll pull up the chart and we'll get into it.
Capricorn Risings, as we dive in, the chart on the left is what we're going to be talking about and breaking down as it relates to your chart. The graph on the right is a screenshot of the Mercury Cazimi day on December 5th when Mercury hits the halfway point of his retrograde. Now, this is going to be an important retrograde for you because your primary life coach Saturn is officially out of retrograde. Lord Karma is serving the rewards or the punishments depending on how well you learned his lessons. That is for all of us, but for you specifically, Capricorn Rising. So you're definitely going to want to pay attention as Saturn is going to be squaring Mercury in his retrograde energy 3 separate times, and the day that he creates the second square with Mercury is the exact same day that he's squaring Jupiter. This is happening on the day after Christmas, so around Christmas time, the rewards or the punishments could be served. So we'll check in with that in just a moment, but let's go back to the fact that Mercury is retrograding in your 12th house in the zodiac energy of Sagittarius this year, meaning he will spend 9 weeks in the 12th house area of your chart instead of his traditional 3.5. This is important to understand because Mercury is your mind. And whenever he's in the 12th house, there's a lot of intuitive abilities, connections to the divine, to the other realms. There's a lot of dreams that could be coming up, a lot of information that is being imprinted into your mind from your religious beliefs, your spiritual practices. So the veil is thin for you, my Capricorn Risings. So definitely making sure you are making time for prayer and meditation, going to church during this season. Of course, it's it's around the holidays. So if you love the holidays and you celebrate Christmas, this will be a beautiful time for you to connect with the divine, to God. Now, also remembering that Mercury retrogrades are lesson learning periods. And in your 12th house, there's a lot of things you must learn or gain more knowledge or wisdom or information around, as Sagittarius is the energy of the guru when it comes to your emotional, your mental, and your spiritual health and your energetic body. So right now, this could be a season of you of reprogramming your mind when it comes to limiting beliefs, self-sabotage, playing the victim. There could be things that you're needing to learn about your emotional intelligence, your emotional health. There's even things that you may possibly be learning about your intuitive gifts or your energetic body, like your auras, your chakras. This is also a time would be great for you to do some past life regression, as Mercury is retrograde going back to things that might be holding you back, the 12th house, right? The karma that's holding you back from a past lifetime. And I have an amazing, like this is so a tangent. I didn't expect to talk about this, but I have an amazing past life regressionist. I talked with her on my podcast. I have a different podcast called Holistic Soul Sisters. I will link it in the description box specifically for you Capricorn Risings. You can go listen to it. But she is a past life reader that specifically talks about breaking karma from previous lifetimes so you can step into this lifetime as a healed version and live up to your potential. I did a reading with her for the first time when I was really, really sick in my dark night of the soul, and she cut a lot of karmic ties from past lives for me, and I literally up-leveled my life in so many ways within 6 months from that reading. And this would be a beautiful season for you to do it, as Mercury is spending more time in your 12th house of cutting karma. The 12th house is ending cycles, clearing, releasing, and letting go. Mercury is going back and helping you release things that don't mentally serve you, that's holding you back. So I love this is how you're ending 2024. And you have Jupiter retrograding directly opposite in the sky in your 6th house of health and wellness. So go check out my Jupiter retrograde video for way more information on that. But Jupiter retrograding here is helping you re-understand, again, gain more wisdom, gain more knowledge around your physical body and how that's connected to some of these self-sabotaging behaviors, Mercury retrograding in the 12th house, or even karma or patterns that, you know, you're playing the victim in. So there is a lot of mental stuff happening here that's affecting your physical body and your day-to-day. So there's a lot of clearing here that we need to do. Now let's go back to Saturn, your primary life coach. He has retrograded and now ended his retrograde in your 3rd house, your mind. What you need to learn, the information that you still need to understand, the data, the facts. This is a huge season for you where you're having to mentally reprogram in a massive way to up-level your health, up-level your life, up-level your work. Like there's just, Saturn hopefully is rewarding you and not punishing you. And what this could look like is all of a sudden you come across a podcast that is super beneficial. It honestly could even be coming across this reading, gaining the information, 3rd house information of a past life reader, 12th house, to clear the karma that ultimately affects your physical health like it did for me. So something like that also could be benefit that comes through a sibling, through a neighbor, again, learning something. So if you're a teacher and you're teaching on any topics related to the 12th house, this could be a time for you also to go back to the drawing board and work on a podcast, a course, your media, social media, marketing, publishing of any sorts as well that could benefit you. And lastly, just a reminder that Mercury is going to trine Chiron 3 times. And Jupiter is already sextile this energy. This is important because Chiron brings up wounds, pain points, inflammation, irritation, and that could be triggering you mentally, emotionally, energetically. And that trigger could be coming from home or family, or again, as you see, the 4th house rules the past, your lineage. So there could even be some ancestral trauma or ancestral things that were passed down to you, limiting beliefs that were passed down to you, habits that were passed down to you that you're having to reprogram. Mercury retrograde, up level, change your perspective, change your beliefs, Sagittarius, and cut that karma and clear that pattern, release and let go, the 12th house, to again, ultimately benefit Jupiter expanding your health and wellness. So pay attention to all of that. I hope that sums it up for you. Let me know if this resonates at all in the comments below, and let me know if you're going to go listen to the podcast from the past life reader. Her name is Hadassah. She is freaking epic. You will love the podcast. I think it could benefit you so much in this Mercury retrograde season. I hope that resonates. Let me know in the comments below. And also don't forget to go back to my overview for the Mercury retrograde so you have a general idea of what's going on collectively. There's a lot more things that I talked about in the video as far as dates that you might want to pay attention to. And of course, check out those do's and don'ts so you know exactly how to navigate this energy in more depth. And then last thing, just to remind you, if you are interested in getting the 2025 Astrology Alchemy Journal, the pre-sale did end on 1/1/1 at the new moon in Scorpio. However, I do now have a PDF copy available. So if you don't care about having the physical copy and you want to just download the PDF and have it on your computer and you can print it out yourself, it is now in the description box below. There is a link. And obviously, it's a little less expensive than the physical hard copy. So just want you to know that that is now available. If you are out of the country, I do not ship out of the United States, but you can now get your PDF copy and have it and print it out right at home so that you can start planning 2025 as Jupiter is going to be retrograde all the way till February 4th.
So I'm going to leave you with this final thought that as this Mercury retrograde is happening in your relationships, as you start noticing the people around you waffling, flip-flopping, changing perspectives, sharing things with you that maybe they've never told you, give them a lot of grace and patience. We're all going through a collective up-leveling right now. Our mindset shifts are happening. We're expanding to a higher level of consciousness. We're learning to appreciate one another in a different way. We're seeing the truth. For some people, that's very jolting. It's very unexpected. And others of us have already probably seen the truth. So there is this huge shift going on collectively, and just give everyone a lot of grace and patience. And I look forward to diving in with you more one-on-one in a 2025 Astro Forecast reading. We always consider it our cosmic planning strategy session, where we're going to look at the year ahead, help you tap into the exciting energy that's in store, and of course, navigating some of the potholes that may be coming up in your journey so you know how to deal with them, you can expect them, and maybe drive around them if possible. So I would love to dive in with you. You can get on my calendar. It's in the description box below. Sending you so much love and light as we navigate the end of 2024 and get ready for the whole new reality we're about to step into in 2025. I'll catch you in the next video. My Aquarius Risings, with Sagittarius spending an extra amount of time because of his retrograde in your 11th house, there's going to be a lot of mental reprogramming, mental shifts that happen due to the tribe that you're around. It's almost like your tribe is influencing a broader perspective. You're learning things from the people around you. And this is going to reprogram your mind for a new future, new hopes and dreams and wishes. You're going to have a completely different shift of what you desire moving forward, a new reality check, if you will, by the time this retrograde is over. And on top of that, one of your primary life coaches, Saturn, is squaring Mercury 3 separate times. Jupiter is also contributing to this energy. So there's a lot of expansion and growth ahead, but we got to reprogram the old thoughts and the old beliefs, learn from the people around us, and up level to have a new future. We're going to navigate all of that. I'll pull up the chart. You grab your birth chart. Let's dive in.
Aquarius risings, as we can see, there's a lot to discuss for this Mercury retrograde for you. So we'll talk about the graph on the left. We'll be breaking that down. The graph on the right is a screenshot of the day that Mercury reaches his halfway point of the Mercury retrograde on December 5th, the Mercury cazimi. So we are going to break it down. First and foremost, understanding that your primary life coach, Saturn, is now officially out of retrograde, and he is squaring Mercury, squaring Jupiter. He is heavily involved, heavily activated during this Mercury retrograde season for the rest of 2024. As he comes out of retrograde, he is bringing the karma, rewards or punishments. So my Aquarius risings, I want you to pay special attention through the end of the year. Any kind of financial disruptions, financial hiccups, budgeting issues, any kind of money problems is coming from Saturn, who is giving you probably punishments instead of the rewards. However, if he is rewarding you, there could be benefit to your budget, financial area of life, material possessions. You could be buying a new car, buying something for long-term growth, investing money in something long-term. So just pay attention. There is definitely some financial stuff as we talk about this Mercury retrograde. So with Mercury's retrograde, he is spending an extra amount of time in Sagittarius in 2024, 9 weeks to be exact, instead of his traditional 3.5. So this ultimately tells us that for these 9 weeks, your mind needs to spend extra amount of time in your 11th house of your future. The 11th house is your dreams, your hopes, your wishes, what you're thinking about your future, what you're manifesting for your future. And also it deals a lot with your community, your friendships, your tribe, the people that are like-minded to you. Now, this Mercury retrograde, as he's going backwards in the sky, is going to ultimately cause you to rethink, reanalyze, reassess your friendships, who you're spending your time with, and the beliefs of those people, the perspectives of those people. Do you hold a similar value, perspective, or do they have such different beliefs from you that you're not even enjoying your time with them anymore? Because, of course, Jupiter is also retrograde directly opposite in the sky in your 5th house of fun. Retrograding, going back and reassessing who are the people that I can have fun with. This Mercury retrograde for the end of the year, you may come across people in your life that you maybe loved spending time with. You were so similar, you were so like-minded, and now all of a sudden they've changed their beliefs and they've changed their philosophy, and you've changed who you are and your perspective on life, and you no longer can relate to each other. And this happens through conversation, through connection. You just start noticing you're not the same person anymore, and neither are they. And that could mentally be jarring, right? That mentally could cause you to be like little mind boggled, like, wait a second, what happened? But ultimately, Mercury spending an extra amount of time is putting your mind towards your future. What do you wish? What do you desire? Where are you going? And Saturn in your income sector squaring this energy could ultimately be bringing the reward, financial abundance, material possessions into your life that ultimately Mercury, your mind, has to go back and say, okay, what am I doing with this money for my future? What is the goal here? What is the outcome? Where are we going? What is the direction? Now, Jupiter over here in your 5th house of entrepreneurship, you're going to want to go back and listen to my Jupiter retrograde video for more info on that. But Saturn is also going to be squaring that energy. This T square goes exact with Saturn squaring Jupiter, Saturn squaring Mercury for the second time, is happening on the day after Christmas. So I want you to pay attention around that time, what financial things are coming up, where you're wanting to spend your money. Jupiter is in your house of children as well. But entrepreneurship, okay? So there's definitely some things here where you're having to maybe spend less money on your children this year for the holidays, maybe spend less money on friends and presents during the holiday. Like there's not as much abundance or flow here. There's actually challenges, and the challenge is you prioritizing your future over spending money on people that, maybe don't need the gifts. They don't need the presents. Jupiter is saying, I'm retrograde, so there's not a lot of gifts here. Also, your other primary life coach is Uranus, and Uranus is retrograde right now in your 4th house of home and family. So there could be around the holidays with all of this, understanding of financial stuff and where you want to invest your money and spend your money on gifts for friends or gifts for children. There could be issues, Uranus disruptions around home and family. Arguments, surprises, unexpected things coming up in the home and family area of your life. And you're having to choose a different outcome, choose to do something different. So maybe you decide you're not going to buy gifts for everyone this year. Maybe you decide that you're not going to celebrate at your house this year. And this could be causing some disruption within the family unit, or maybe someone else in your family is making that decision and you're like, wait, what? Okay, I guess we're going to have a new tradition or a new way of doing things. And then lastly, we see here that Mercury is going to trine Chiron 3 times because of his retrograde. And Jupiter is already sextiled this energy. Chiron brings up wounds, pains, inflammation, irritation. This could be coming in communication, your 3rd house, conversations with siblings, conversation with neighbors, conversation with people that you network with. So there could definitely be some hard conversations, irritating conversations, painful conversations that are coming up. And therefore, you, again, are reprogramming your mind and realizing that having conversations and being friends with certain people isn't going to serve you. So there's a lot of mental things coming up here for you. I hope this resonates. Of course, there's so much more to dive in, and I can't wait to talk to you more for your 2025 astro forecast reading. As Uranus next year, your primary life coach, is moving into a new zodiac sign, Saturn, your other primary life coach, is moving into a new zodiac sign, and there's a lot of potent energy in your first house now that Pluto is here for the first time and the only time in your lifetime for the next 20 years. So there's a lot going on for you, Aquarius Risings. I hope that resonates. Let me know in the comments below. And also, don't forget to go back to my overview for the Mercury retrograde so you have a general idea of what's going on collectively. There's a lot more things that I talked about in the video as far as dates that you might want to pay attention to. And of course, check out those do's and don'ts so you know exactly how to navigate this energy in more depth. And then last thing, just to remind you, if you are interested in getting the 2025 Astrology Alchemy Journal, the pre-sale did end on 1/1/1 at the new moon in Scorpio. However, I do now have a PDF copy available. So if you don't care about having the physical copy and you want to just download the PDF and have it on your computer and you can print it out yourself, it is now in the description box below. There is a link, and obviously it's a little less expensive than the physical hard copy. So just want you to know that that is now available. If you are out of the country, I do not ship out of the United States, but you can now get your PDF copy and have it and print it out right at home so that you can start planning 2025, as Jupiter is going to be retrograde all the way till February 4th.
So I'm going to leave you with this final thought that as this Mercury retrograde is happening in your relationships, as you start noticing the people around you waffling, flip-flopping, changing perspectives, sharing things with you that maybe they've never told you, give them a lot of grace and patience. We're all going through a collective up-leveling right now. Our mindset shifts are happening. We're expanding to a higher level of consciousness. We're learning to appreciate one another in a different way. We're seeing the truth. For some people, that's very jolting. It's very unexpected. And others of us have already probably seen the truth. So there is this huge shift going on collectively, and just give everyone a lot of grace and patience. And I look forward to diving in with you more one-on-one in a 2025 astro forecast reading. We always consider it our cosmic planning strategy session, where we're going to look at the year ahead, help you tap into the exciting energy that's in store, and of course, navigating some of the potholes that may be coming up in your journey so you know how to deal with them. You can expect them and maybe drive around them if possible. So I would love to dive in with you. You can get on my calendar. It's in the description box below. Sending you so much love and light as we navigate the end of 2024 and get ready for the whole new reality we're about to step into in 2025. I'll catch you in the next video. My Pisces risings, we are going to have such a good time during this Mercury retrograde, because this Mercury retrograde is going to impact your anchor houses. You're going to have a major up level, new thought patterns, new beliefs, and probably a lot of intuitive downloads as we go through this Mercury retrograde. Mercury is going to retrograde, spend an extra amount of time in your 10th house of your career. You're going to be thinking a lot about your journey, your professional life, your mission, your purpose, your legacy. What are you building? What do you want to share with the world? You're going to have Saturn and Jupiter also influencing this energy from your 1st and 7th house. So your relationship houses are also impacted. And then your area of home and family and the 4th house is the missing piece of this puzzle. We talked a lot about that in the overview with the Grand Cross energy. So we're going to navigate all of this together, make sense of it so you know how to move forward when you get to 2025, as there's major shifts in store for you, Pisces risings. So grab your birth chart. I'll pull up the chart. Let's dive in.
Pisces risings, as we dive into this energy, we know that Mercury is spending an extra amount of time in your 10th house during 2024, because during his retrograde, he will be in your 10th house of career, your public image, your purpose, your mission, your legacy. What do people know you for 9 weeks instead of his traditional 3.5. So there is a lot of energy going on here mentally for you, where you're focusing your mind maybe more on work projects, having interviews, contracts, negotiations. All of those mercurial things might be going on for you during the rest of the year, as Mercury officially moves into this area of your chart on November 2nd and will be here all the way until January 9th. So there's a lot of mental energy exerted in your 10th house during this season. Now, during a Mercury retrograde, we're going to have those hiccups. We're going to have those disruptions. You're going to have to go back, reanalyze, reassess, renegotiate, re-understand, relearn. And so this could be a season for you as we navigate the end of the year where you're having to go back over old information when it comes to your job, when it comes to your career. Maybe you forgot how to do something. Maybe you need to refresh your skills. This is Sagittarius, so you are meant to be a mentor to people, a guru, a master of sorts around your professional life. Your mission, what are you known for? And so maybe you need to go back to school or gain more knowledge, gain more understanding, gain more experience. This could even be a time for you where you shadow somebody. Maybe you want a promotion in your company and you ask to shadow someone in that position. So that you can get more experience and knowledge around it. These are going to be really important topics for you. Now, if you are in a position where you have to write contracts or negotiate things towards the end of the year, I would definitely advise you to do them before November 7th if you can, because of the pre-shadow energy beginning. If you can't, just expect to go back over those contracts, renegotiate, conversations coming back around. Make sure you also listen to the specifics timestamp for this video as I go through more of the dates so you really know what days you might be having challenges with this Mercury retrograde in your professional life. So listen to the specifics and keep thinking, okay, this is when this might happen in my career, with my job, in my professional life. Of course, Jupiter is retrograde opposite in your fourth house of home and family, and Jupiter is one of your primary life coaches along with Neptune. So just know that it's not as easy, you're not as optimistic, you're not as go with the flow. I break all of that down in the Jupiter retrograde video, so go back and listen to that. But just remembering this is going to impact your career life as things are not as easy, go with the flow in your home and family. So maybe there's disruption in your family, or people are irritated that you're spending so much time at work, that you're taking on an extra project at work, that you're having to go back and there's like all these extra paperwork and extra conversations and extra emails, and it's the holidays. And so you're supposed to be Jupiter expanding and spending more time with home and family, but you're having to work late hours. So just know there could be a lot of challenges at work that is taking you away from your home and family, but ultimately remembering that Saturn in your first house of Pisces is now out of retrograde, and he is serving the rewards or the punishments. Lord Karma is here to dish it out after November 15th, and this is in a square. It's a T-square to your career and your home and family. So what does this mean? Well, Saturn brings obstacles, challenges, limitations, or those rewards. And this is coming from you, right? You are the one that is glowing up, that you're learning about yourself. You're putting boundaries in place. You're putting your needs, your wants, your desires first. That's what Saturn's trying to teach you. And so maybe you do want to put your career first, and that is irritating squares, challenges to the home and family. Or you're wanting to spend time with your home and family, but these challenges are coming up in your career and you want to make a good appearance. First house. You want to have a certain identity in your work life, and therefore you have to put this work in. You have to take extra time at work because you're trying to make a good first impression. You're trying to impress people, right? This first house is your image, your identity, your brand. And that is coming at the cost of home and family if you're putting it towards your career, or it's putting it at the cost of your career if you're trying to spend more time with home and family. So this is the challenge that is coming up for you as you navigate the end of the year. But just remember, Mercury is, you're meant to learn lessons, to gain a new perspective, to gain more information, to gather more wisdom in the 10th house area of your life, and learning to balance it all. Lastly, just remember that Mercury, as he's retrograding in your career house, will trine Chiron 3 separate times. And Chiron is wounds, pain points, irritations, ouchies, inflammation from your financial sector could be coming up during this season. And these financial irritations or inflammation that is coming up could be Mercury, your mind, having you rethink, reassess, reanalyze, is this career worth it? Am I getting paid enough? Am I putting in too much work in my career and it's not allowing me to pay the bills? And so maybe I might as well just spend more time with my family. Or maybe I invested all this energy into my career and it's not paying off. And you're noticing it because there's pain points coming up around money, income, possessions. The financial area of your life is creating some ouchies, and it's helping and forcing you to rebalance, to rework, or maybe even financial stuff is coming up within the family. And so you're realizing you do have to spend more time at work to benefit your family. and your first house Saturn is putting in the work towards your impression, your identity at work, your public image, so that you can gain more money, so it benefits your family. So this is kind of the energy that's playing out for the rest of 2024 for you Pisces risings. Of course, Neptune, your other primary life coach, is still retrograde as well. So it's, again, there's just not a lot of flow and not a lot of ease. My Pisces risings, you usually get a lot of intuitive messages, intuitive guidance that could also be kind of dried up during this season as well. So just know next year in 2025, there's a lot of up leveling that's going on. There's a lot of benefit to your financial sector. So just working with this energy right here, right now. So if any of this resonates, let me know in the comments below. Pop in, say hi, let me know that you were here. I appreciate that so much. I hope that resonates. Let me know in the comments below. And also don't forget to go back to my overview for the Mercury retrograde so you have a general idea of what's going on collectively. There's a lot more things that I talked about in the video as far as dates that you might want to pay attention to. And of course, check out those do's and don'ts so you know exactly how to navigate this energy in more depth. And then last thing, just to remind you, if you are interested in getting the 2025 Astrology Alchemy Journal, the pre-sale did end on 1/1/1 at the new moon in Scorpio. However, I do now have a PDF copy available. So if you don't care about having the physical copy and you want to just download the PDF and have it on your computer and you can print it out yourself, it is now in the description box below. There is a link, and obviously it's a little less expensive than the physical hard copy. So just want you to know that that is now available. If you are out of the country, I do not ship out of the United States, but you can now get your PDF copy and have it and print it out right at home so that you can start planning 2025, as Jupiter is going to be retrograde all the way till February 4th.
So I'm going to leave you with this final thought that as this Mercury retrograde is happening in your relationships, as you start noticing the people around you waffling, flip-flopping, changing perspectives, sharing things with you that maybe they've never told you, give them a lot of grace and patience. We're all going through a collective up-leveling right now. Our mindset shifts are happening. We're expanding to a higher level of consciousness. We're learning to appreciate one another in a different way. We're seeing the truth. For some people, that's very jolting. It's very unexpected. And others of us have already probably seen the truth. So there is this huge shift going on collectively, and just give everyone a lot of grace and patience. And I look forward to diving in with you more one-on-one in a 2025 astro forecast reading. We always consider it our cosmic planning strategy session, where we're going to look at the year ahead, help you tap into the exciting energy that's in store, and of course, navigating some of the potholes that may be coming up in your journey so you know how to deal with them. You can expect them and maybe drive around them if possible. So I would love to dive in with you. You can get on my calendar. It's in the description box below. Sending you so much love and light as we navigate the end of 2024 and get ready for the whole new reality we're about to step into in 2025. I'll catch you in the next video.